this episode, Huck, played by Christopher Jacot, stages his own murder and escapes down the Mississippi where he meets Jim, a runaway slave, played by Martin Roach. Together, the two men embark on a harrowing and hilarious journey down the Mississippi in pre-Civil War America.
Notice, persons attempting to find a motive in this narrative will be prosecuted. Persons attempting to find a moral in it will be banished. Persons attempting to find a plot in it will be shot by order of the author.
You don't know about me without you have read a book by the name of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. But that ain't no matter. That book was made by Mr. Mark Twain, and he told the truth mainly. There was things which he stretched, but I ain't never seen anybody but lied one time or another. Now, the way that book winds up is this. Tom and me found the money that the robbers hid in the cave, and it made us rich. We got $6,000 apiece, all gold. It was an awful sight of money when it was piled up. Well, Judge Thatcher, he took it and put it out at interest. And it fetched us $1 a day apiece, all year round, more than a body could tell what to do with. The widow Douglas, she took me for her son and allowed she would civilize me. But it was rough living in the house all the time, considering how regular and decent the widow was in all her ways. So when I couldn't stand it any longer, I lit out. I got into my old rags and slept in my sugar hogshead and was free and satisfied. But Tom Sawyer, he hunted me up and said he was going to start a band of robbers, and I might join if I would go back to the widow and be respectable. So I went back. Well, then, the old thing commenced again. Only this time there were two of them pecking at me. The old widow and her sister, Miss Watson, a tolerable slim old maid with goggles who had just come to live with her.
Don't scrunch up like that, Huckleberry. Sit up straight and wait until my sister blesses the food.
What's she have to bless it for? There's nothing the matter with it, is there?
Don't be impertinent.
For what we are about to receive, may the Lord make us truly thankful.
Amen. Now then, Huckleberry, beef stew, potatoes, peas, corn.
Thank you, Miss Watson.
Well, Huckleberry, aren't you hungry?
It's just everything on these shiny plates is so separate.
Separate? I'm not sure I follow, dear.
Well, when you rummage in a barrel of odds and ends and all the flavors get mixed up and the juice kind of swaps around, all the things go better.
You heathenish boy, are you saying that you prefer to get your supper out of a swill barrel filled with rubbish?
Yes, ma'am. It's what I'm used to.
Oh, the poor lad.
Poor lad, indeed. If you don't try to behave, Huckleberry Finn, and be grateful for your blessings, you go to the bad place.
Don't mind if I do.
Huckleberry.
Well, it would be a change. I'm not particular.
Oh, that's a most wicked thing to say, Huckleberry. I am proud to live my entire life so that I can go to the good place.
Now, sister. Let the boy eat his supper.
Miss Watson, you reckon that Tom Sawyer will go to the good place?
Tom Sawyer? Not by a considerable sight.
Well, I'm glad. I want him and me to be together.
Well, I never.
Oh.
It's the truth, Miss Watson. You're always going on at me to tell the truth. After supper, I went up to my room with a piece of candle and put it on the table. Then I sat down in my chair by the window and tried to think of something cheerful. But it weren't no use. I felt so lonesome, I almost wished I was dead. I got up my pipe for a smoke, for the house was all still as death now, and so the widow wouldn't know. I put out my light and scrambled out the window onto the shed. Then I slipped down to the ground and crawled in amongst the trees, and sure enough, there was Tom Sawyer waiting for me. We cut along the path around the garden fence, and by and by fetched up on the steep top of the hill the other side of the town. We went down the hill and found Joe Harper and Ben Rogers and 2 or 3 more of the boys hid in the old tan yard. So we unhitched a skiff and pulled down the river 2.5 miles to the big scar on the hillside and went ashore.
Gather round now, men. Now we'll start this band of robbers and call it Tom Sawyer's Gang. Everybody that wants to join has got to take an oath and write his name in blood.
Fine with me, Tom.
I'm for it.
What kind of oath? Here it is. Every robber must stick to this band and never tell any of the secrets. If anybody harms any member of the band, whichever boy is ordered to kill that person and his family must do it. And he mustn't eat and he mustn't sleep till he has killed them and have to cross in their breasts, which is the sign of the band.
Sounds good to me.
Me too.
And nobody that doesn't belong to this band can't use this sign. And if he does, he must be sued. And if he does it again, he must be killed. And if any member of this band tells the secrets, he must have his throat cut and then have his carcass burned up and the ashes scattered all around and his name blotted off the list with blood and never mentioned again.
Oh, that's a beautiful oath, Tom.
Did you make that up out of your own head? Some of it. The rest is out of pirate books and robber books. Every gang that is high-toned has it.
What about killing the families of the boys that tell us secrets?
Well, that's an idea. I can write that in. And their families must be killed.
Here's Huck Finn. He ain't got no family. What you gonna do about him?
Well, ain't he got a father?
Yes, he's got a father, but you can't never find him these days. He used to lay drunk with the hogs in the tan yard, but he ain't been seen in these parts for a year or more.
They talked it over, and they was going to rule me out, because they said every boy must have a family to kill. Well, I was most ready to cry. But all at once, I thought of a way.
What about Miss Watson? You're welcome to kill her.
She'll do. She'll do.
That's all right.
Huck can come in.
We played robber now and then about a month, and then I resigned. All the boys did. We hadn't robbed nobody. We hadn't killed any people, but only just pretended. We used to hop out of the woods and go charging down on hog drivers and women in carts taking garden stuff to market, but we never robbed any of them. Tom Sawyer called the hogs ingots, and he called the turnips and stuff jewelry, but I couldn't see no profit in it. Well, 3 or 4 months run along, and it was well into the winter now. I had been to school most all the time and could spell and read and write just a little, and could say the multiplication table up to 6 times 7 is 35. The widow said I was coming along slow but sure and doing very satisfactory. She said she weren't ashamed of me. One morning I went down the front garden and clumb over the stile where you go through the high board fence. There was an inch of new snow on the ground, and I seen somebody's tracks. They had come up from the quarry and stood around the stile a while. It was funny they hadn't come in after standing around so. I stooped down to look at the tracks. I didn't notice anything at first, but next I did. There was a cross in the left boot heel made with big nails to keep off the devil. Joe Thatcher. Huck!
My boy, you're all out of breath. Did you come for your interest?
No, sir. Is there some for me?
Oh, yes. A half yearly's in last night. Over $150. You better let me invest it along with your $6,000, because if you take it, you'll spend it.
No, sir. I don't want to spend it. I don't want it at all, nor the $6,000 neither. I want you to take it. I want to give it to you, the $6,000 and all.
What can you mean, Huck?
Well, don't ask me no questions about it, please, Judge Thatcher. You take it, won't you?
Well, I'm puzzled. Is something the matter?
Oh, please take it and don't ask me nothing.
Oh, I think I see. Has somebody returned to town who might be troublesome?
Please, Judge Thatcher, Ask me no questions and I won't have to tell you no lies.
That's fine, Huck. But you want to sell all your property to me, not give it. That's the correct idea.
Sir?
For a consideration. That means I have bought it of you and paid you for it. Here's $1. Now, you sign this.
So I signed it and left. I lit out to see Miss Watson's nigger Jim. He had a hairball as big as your fist, which had been took out of the fourth stomach of an ox, and he used to do magic with it.
There's a spirit inside of this hairball, Huck. It knows everything.
Ask it what Pap's gonna do, Jim. How long's he gonna stay?
I need to drop it on the floor. Like so. And then get down to it real close and listen.
What's it saying, Jim?
It says your old father don't know yet what he's a-going to do. Sometimes he spec he'll go away, and then again he spec he'll stay. The best way is to rest easy and let the old man take his own way.
You know Pap, Jim. He'll skin me alive as easy as look at me.
There's 2 angels up and about you, Pap Huck. One of them is white and shiny, and the other one is black. The white one gets him to go right a little while. Then the black one sails in and busts it all up. The body can't tell you which one going to fetch him at the last.
Ask the hairball. Should I run away, Jim?
Hang on now. I need to listen. You was all right, Huck. You's going to have considerable trouble in your life. And considerable joy. Sometimes you're going to get hurt, and sometimes you're going to get sick. But every time, you's going to get well again.
But what about Pap?
Hush. There's 2 gals flying about you in your life. One of them's light, and the other one is dark. One is rich, and the other's poor. And you's going to marry the poor one first, and then the rich one by and by. You wants to keep away from the water as much as you can, and don't run no risk. In case it's down in the bills that you's going to get hung.
Down in the bills.
Foreordained, Huck.
Right. Thanks, Jim.
When I lit my candle and went up to my room that night, there sat Pat, his own self. He was most 50, and he looked it. His hair was long and tangled and greasy and hung down. You could see his eyes shining through like he was behind vines. There weren't no color in his face where his face showed. It was white. Not like another man's white, but a white to make a body's flesh crawl. A tree-toad white, a fish-belly white. As for his clothes, just rags, that was all. He sat there looking at me, with his chair tilted back a little. I set the candle down. I noticed the window was up, so he had clumb in by the shed. He kept a-looking me all over.
Starchy clothes. Very. You think you're a good deal of a big bug, don't you?
Maybe I am, maybe I ain't.
Don't you give me none of your lip. You put on considerable many frills since I've been away. I'll take you down a peg before I get done with you. You're educated, too, they say. Can read and write. Who told you might meddle with such highfalutin foolishness, eh?
The widow, she told me.
Well, I'll learn her how to meddle. I'll learn people to bring up a boy to put on airs over his own father. Your mother couldn't read, and she couldn't write neither before she died. None of the family couldn't before they died. I can't. And here you're swelling yourself up like this. Let me hear you read. Go on. If you're so smart, read it.
During the summer of 1780, Washington was prevented from accomplishing anything in the North by the demoralized condition of the finances and by the decline of public spirit. It was very difficult to secure recruits of supplies, the pay of the troops.
It's so. You can do it. I had my doubts when you told me. Now, looky here. You stop that putting on frills. I'll lay for you, my smarty, and if I catch you about that school, I'll tan you good. First, you know, you'll get religion, too.
No, I won't. You can ask Miss Watson.
Ain't you a sweet-scented dandy, though? A bed and bedclothes and a looking glass and a piece of carpet on the floor, and your own father got to sleep with the hogs in the tan yard. I never see such a son. They say you're rich, eh? How's that?
They lie, that's how.
I've been in town 2 days, and I ain't heard nothing but about you being rich. I heard about it way down the river, too. That's why I come. You get me that money tomorrow. I want it.
I ain't got no money.
It's a lie. Judge Thatcher got it. You get it. I want it.
I ain't got no money. You ask Judge Thatcher, he'll tell you the same.
All right, I'll ask him. Say, how much you got in your pocket? I want it.
I ain't got only $1, and I want that.
It don't make no difference what you want it for. You just sell it out.
Next day, he was drunk, and he went to Judge Thatcher's and bully-ragged him and tried to make him give him the money. But he couldn't. The judge and the widow went to law to get the court to take me away from Pap and let one of them be my guardian. But it was a new judge that had just come, and he didn't know the old man.
I appreciate what Mrs. Douglas and Judge Thatcher here have testified, but the courts mustn't interfere and separate families if they can help it.
You hear that?
All in all, I'd rather not take a child away from its own natural father. Case dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll learn my boy to respect me. You can depend on him.
After that, Pep got to hanging around the widows too much, and she told him that if he didn't quit using around there, she would make trouble for him. Well, wasn't he mad? So he watched out one day for me in the spring and catched me and took me upriver about 3 miles in a skiff.
I was wrong. I'll show the world who's the boss of Huck Finn. You see if I don't.
When the widow hears of this, Pop, she's gonna come get me.
The widow ain't gonna hear of nothing. You see that woody patch over by the Illinois shore? There's an old log hut in there where the timber is so thick you couldn't find it, not even if you lived there.
We lived in that old cabin, and Papa always locked the door and put the key under his head nights. He had a gun which he had stole, I reckon, and we fished and hunted, and that was what we lived on. It was kind of lazy and jolly, laying off comfortable all day, smoking and fishing, and no books nor study. 2 months or more run along, and my clothes got to be all rags and dirt, and I didn't see how I'd ever got to like it so well at the widow's, where you had to wash and be forever bothering over a book, and have old Miss Watson pecking at you. I didn't want to go back no more. But by and by, Pop got too handy with his hickory, and I couldn't stand it. I was all over welts. He got to going away so much, too, and locking me in. Once he locked me in and was gone 3 days. It was dreadful lonesome. I made up my mind I would find some way to leave there. I found an old rusty wood saw without any handle. I greased it up and went to work. There was an old horse blanket nailed against the logs at the far end of the cabin to keep the wind from blowing through the chinks and putting the candle out. I went to work to saw a section of the big bottom log out, big enough to let me through.
What are you doing? Hulking in that corner.
Ain't doing nothing, Pap.
Get down to the skiff. Fetch up the provisions for a 10-year hide. I want my supper, damn you.
Right away, Pap.
There was a 50-pound sack of cornmeal and a side of bacon, ammunition, and a 4-gallon jug of whiskey besides some rope. I thought it all over and reckoned that once I'd sawed myself out, I would walk off with the gun and some fishing lines and take to the woods. I guessed I'd just tramp right across the country, mostly night times, and hunt and fish to keep alive, and get so far away that the old man nor the widow couldn't ever find me anymore.
Huck! Get up here!
Coming, Pap.
Call this a government. Why?
Just look at it, see what it's like. Here's the law standing ready to take a man's son away from him. A man's own son, which he has had all the trouble and all the anxiety and all the expense of raising. Are you listening?
I'm listening, Pop.
Law takes a man worth $6,000 and upwards and jams him into an old trap of a cabin like this. They call that government. I told Judge Thatcher so to his face. Says I, for 2 cents, I'd leave this blame country and never come near it again. I says, look at my hat. Such a hat for me to wear. One of the wealthiest men in this town if I could get my rights.
Supper's ready, Pat.
Oh, yes. It's a wonderful government. Wonderful. There was a free nigger in town from Ohio, a mulatter. Most as white as a white man. He had the whitest shirt on you ever see, too, and the shiniest hat. And what do you think? Answer me. What do you think?
I don't know, Pap.
They said he was a professor in a college and could talk all kinds of languages and knowed everything. And that ain't the worst. What do you think they said?
Don't know, Pap.
They said he could vote when he was at home. Well, that let me out. Thinks I, what is the country a-coming to? It was election day. I was just about to go and vote myself if I weren't too drunk to get there. But when they told me there was a state in this country where they'd let that nigger vote, I drawed out. I says I'd never vote again.
After supper, Pap took the jug and said he had enough whiskey there for 2 drunks and 1 delirium tremens. That was always his word. I judged he would be blind drunk in about an hour, and then I would steal the key or saw myself out. He drank and tumbled down on his blankets by and by. But luck didn't run my way. He didn't go sound asleep, but was uneasy. At last I got so sleepy I couldn't keep my eyes open. And before I knowed what I was about, I was sound asleep, and the candle burning.
He's crawling up my leg! Take him off! He's bit me on the cheek!
Pap! It's all right, Pap.
It's a snake! He's biting me on the neck! You take him off!
There ain't nothing there, Pap.
What's that? What's it? Hear that?
Hear what, Pap?
Tramp! 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 That's it! Tramp! 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 They're coming after me! But I won't go! Oh, they're here. Don't touch me! Don't! Hands off! They're cold! Let go! Oh, let a poor devil alone!
Ain't nothing here, Pap!
You! I know you! Angel of Death! Come here! Angel of Death! I know how to deal with you!
Look, Pap, I'm only Huck!
I'll kill you! You won't come for me no more! You got here!
Pretty soon he was all tired out and dropped down his back against the door and said he would rest a minute and then kill me. So he dozed off pretty soon. By and by, I climbed up the old split-bottom chair and got down the gun. I slipped the ramrod down to make sure it was loaded, and then I laid it across the turnip barrel pointed towards Pep and sat down behind it to wait for him to stir. And how slow and still time did drag along.
Get up! What are you about?
Huh.
What are you doing with this gun?
Someone tried to get in, so I was laying for him.
Why didn't you rust me out?
Well, I tried to, but I couldn't budge it.
Well, all right. But don't stand there palavering all day, but out with you and see if there's a fish on the line for breakfast. I'll be along in a minute.
I went along up the bank with one eye out for Pap and another out for what the rising June River might fetch along. Well, all at once, here comes a canoe. It was a drift canoe, sure enough, and I clumb in and paddle her ashore. Thinks I the old man'll be glad when he sees this. She's worth $10. But when I got to the shore, Pap wasn't in sight yet. And as I was running her into a little creek like a gully all hung over with vines and willows, I struck another idea. I judged I'd hide her good, and then instead of taking to the woods when I run off, I'd go down the river about 50 mile and camp in one place for good. and not have such a rough time tramping on foot.
Huck! What are you playing at? I was pulling out the lines, Pap, and I fell in. Yeah, that's where your book learning will get you. Look, Pap, found catfish. They'll fry up something special.
After breakfast, we laid off to sleep up, both of us being about wore out. About 3:30, Pep locked me in and set out for town. I waited till I reckoned that he had got a good start, then I out with my saw and went to work on that log again. Before he was t'other side of the river, I was out of the hole. Pap in his skiff was just a speck on the water way off yonder. Well, by this time, I reckon it wasn't enough just to escape. If I wanted my freedom, I would have to murder myself. It was all grass cleared at the canoe, so I hadn't left a track. I took the gun and went up a piece into the woods. When I see a wild pig, I took the axe and smashed in the door of the cabin. I beat it and hacked it considerable at doing it. I fetched the pig in and hacked into his throat with the axe and laid him down on the ground to bleed. Well, next I took an old sack and put a lot of big rocks in it, and I started it from the pig and dragged it to the door and through the woods down to the river. Down it sunk, out of sight. You could easily see that something like a body had been dragged over the ground. I did wish Tom Sawyer was there. I knowed he would throw in the fancy touches. Well, last I pulled out some of my hair and blooded the axe good, and stuck it on the backside and slung the axe in the corner. Then I took up the pig and held him to my breast with my jacket so he couldn't drip, till I got a good piece below the house, and then dumped him into the river. It was about dark now, so I lay down in the canoe to smoke a pipe and lay out a plan. I says to myself, they'll follow the track of that sack full of rocks to the shore and then drag the river for me. They won't ever hunt the river for anything but my dead carcass. They'll soon get tired of that and won't bother no more about me. All right, I can stop anywhere I want to. Jackson's Island's good enough for me. I know it pretty well and nobody ever comes there. I can paddle over to town nights and slink around and pick up things I want. Jackson's Island's the place. I was pretty tired. The first thing I knowed, I was asleep. When I woke up, I didn't know where I was for a minute. Then I remembered. The river looked miles and miles across. Think, maybe it's Pep. Oh, I weren't expecting him. He dropped below me with the current, and by he comes a-swinging up shore in the easy water. He went by so close, I could have reached out the gun and touched him. Well, it was Pep, sure enough. And sober, too, by the way he lay to his oars. I didn't lose no time. The next minute, I was a-spinning downstream, soft but quick, in the shade of the bank. And how far a body can hear on the water such nights. People talking way over at the ferry landing.
It's getting toward the long days and the short nights about now.
Mm-hmm. I reckon this ain't one of the short ones.
Say it again, George.
No, sirree. This ain't one of the short ones.
Hey, Mike, wake up. George will come up with a good one.
Long days and short nights, Mike, but I reckon this ain't one of the short ones.
Oh, damn it, I am trying to sleep. Oh, come on, Mike. You old man's got to laugh.
Oh, let me sleep. Let me sleep.
I sure was. I remember telling my old woman she's going to think that's pretty funny.
Nearly 3 o'clock. Oh, sure hope daylight won't wait more than about a week longer.
After that, the talk got further and further away, and I couldn't make out the words anymore. I was away below the ferry now. I rose up, and there was Jackson's Island, heavy-timbered and standing up out of the middle of the river, big and dark and solid, like a steamboat without any lights. The sun was up so high when I waked, and I judged it was after 8 o'clock. I laid there in the grass in the cool shade, thinking about things and feeling rested and rather comfortable. I hopped up and went and looked out at a hole in the leaves, and I see a bunch of smoke laying on the water a long ways up, about abreast of the ferry. And there was the ferry boat full of people floating along down. I knowed what was the matter now. You see, they was firing cannon over the water, trying to make my carcass come to the top. By and by, the ferry come along, and she drifted so close that they could have run a plank out and walked ashore. Most everybody was on the boat. Pap and Judge Thatcher and Joe Harper and Tom Sawyer and his old Aunt Polly and the widow Douglas and Miss Watson and plenty more. Everyone was talking about the murder. They was all crowded up and leaning over the rails, nearly in my face, watching with all their might. And the captain pointed straight to where I was standing.
Look sharp now. The current sets in the closest here, and maybe he's washed ashore and got tangled amongst the brush at the water's edge. I hope so anyway.
I didn't hope so. I could see them first rate, but they couldn't see me.
Stand away!
That blast made me deaf with the noise and pretty near blind with the smoke. I judged I was gone. If they'd had some bullets in, I reckon they'd have got the corpse they was after. Well, I see I weren't hurt, thanks to goodness. The boat floated on and went out of sight around the shoulder of the island. I knowed I was all right now. When it was dark, I sat by my campfire, smoking and feeling pretty satisfied. But by and by, I got sort of lonesome. So I went and sat on the bank and listened to the currents washing along, and counted the stars and drift logs and rafts that came down. There ain't no better way to put in the time when you are lonesome. You can't stay so and get over it. And so for 3 days and nights, no difference, just the same thing. The fourth day, I went exploring around down through the island. I clipped along, and all of a sudden, I bound right onto the ashes of a campfire that was still smoking. My heart jumps amongst my lungs. I never waited for to look further, but uncocked my gun and went sneaking back on my tiptoes as fast as ever I could. If I see a stump, I took it for a man. If I trod on a stick and broke it, it made me feel like a person had cut one of my breaths in two, and I only got half, and the short half, too. When I got to camp, I didn't sleep much. Every time I waked, I thought somebody had me by the neck. By and by, I says to myself, I can't live this way. I'm going to find out who it is that's here on the island with me. I'll find it out or bust. Well, I felt better right off. So I took my gun and slipped off towards where I had run across that campfire. By and by, sure enough, I catched a glimpse of fire away through the trees. I went for it, cautious and slow. There laid a man on the ground. It most give me the fantods. He had a blanket around his head, and his head was nearly in the fire. I sat there behind a clump of bushes and about 6 foot of him and kept my eyes on him steady. It was getting gray daylight now. Pretty soon he gasped and stretched himself and hove off the blankets, and it was Miss Watson's Jim. I bet I was glad to see him. Hello, Jim.
Don't hurt me. Don't. I ain't never done no harm to no ghost. I always liked dead people and done all I could for them. You go and get in the river again where you belong, and don't do nothing to old Jim. I always was your friend.
Jim, I'm not dead. Am I ever glad to see you, Jim? I was getting lonesome, but I ain't lonesome now.
Huck?
I faked the whole thing, Jim. And I knowed it worked because I saw them dragging the river for me. I know you won't tell anyone, Jim. How long you been on the island?
I come tonight out of you was killed.
How'd you come to be here, Jim?
Maybe I better not tell.
Why?
Well, there's reasons. But you wouldn't tell on me if I was to tell you, would you, Huck?
Blamed if I would.
Well, I believe you, Huck. I'll run off.
Jim.
But mind you now, you said you wouldn't tell, Huck.
Well, I did. I said I wouldn't, and I'll stick to it, honest Injun I will. People would call me a low-down abolitionist and despise me for keeping mum. That don't make no difference. I ain't a-going back there anyway. So now, let's know all about it.
Well, you see, old missus, that's Miss Watson, she pecks on me all the time and treats me pretty rough. But she always said she wouldn't sell me down to Orleans. But I noticed there was a nigger trade around the place considerable lately, and I began to get uneasy. Well, one night, I creeps to the door pretty late. And I hear old Mrs. tell the widow she gonna sell me down to Orleans. And she didn't want to, but she could get $800 for me. And it's such a big stack of money, she couldn't resist. The widow, she tried to get Miss Watson to say she wouldn't do it. But I never waited to hear the rest. I lit out mighty quick, I tell you.
Some young birds come along, flying a yard or two at a time and lighting. Jim said it was a sign it was going to rain. Jim knowed all kinds of signs. He said he knowed most everything.
If you gets hairy arms and a hairy breast, it's a sign that you's going to be rich.
You got hairy arms and a hairy breast, Jim?
What's the use to ask that question? Don't you see I has?
Well, are you rich?
No, but I've been rich once, and I'm going to be rich again. Once, I had $14, but I took to speculating and got busted out.
What'd you speculate in, Jim?
Well, first I tackled stock.
What kind of stock?
Why, livestock. I put $10 in a cow. The cow up and died on my hands.
So you lost the $10?
No, I didn't lose it all. I only lost about 9 of it. I sold a hide and tallow for $1.10.
Well, it's all right anyways, Jim. Long as you're going to be rich again sometime or other.
Yes, and I's rich now, come to look at it. I owns myself, and I was worth $800. I wished I had the money. I wouldn't want no more.
We tramped and clumb up a tolerable long, steep hill, about 40 foot high, and by found a good big cavern in the rock.
Know what we should do, Huck? We should hide the canoe and all the traps up here. There's a good flat floor to build a fire.
So we built a fire there and cooked dinner. Pretty soon it darkened up and begun to thunder and lightning. So the birds was right about it. Jim, this is nice. I wouldn't want to be nowhere else but here. Pass me along another hunk of fish and some hot cornbread.
Well, you wouldn't have been here if it hadn't have been for Jim. You'd have been down there in the woods without any dinner and getting most downed too.
Not me, Jim.
That you would, honey. Chickens knows when it's going to rain, and so do the birds, child.
The river went on raising and raising for 10 or 12 days, till at last it was over the banks. Many times we'd paddle all over the island in the canoe. It was mighty cool and shady in the deep woods. One night we catched a little section of a lumber raft. That's pine planks. It was 12 foot wide and about 15 or 16 foot long, and the top stood above water 6 or 7 inches, a solid level floor. Another night, just after daylight, here comes a frame house down on the west side. She was a 2-story and tilted over considerable. We paddled out and got aboard, clumb in at an upstairs window. There's a bed, table, 2 old chairs.
Look, over there on the floor.
Looks like a man, Jim.
Hello, you?
Hello? Time to wake up, sir.
The man ain't asleep, Huck. You hold still. I'll go and see.
Is he dead, Jim?
Yes, indeedy. Naked, too. He's been shot in the back. I reckon he's been dead 2 or 3 days. Don't look at his face, Huck. It's too ghastly.
I didn't look at him at all. Jim throwed some old rags over him, but he needn't done it. I didn't want to see him. There were heaps of old greasy cards scattered around over the floor, and old whiskey bottles, and a couple of masks made of black cloth. There were 2 old dirty calico dresses and a sunbonnet, and some women's underclothing, too. We put the lot into the canoe. Take it all around, we made a good haul. We got home all safe. Next morning, I reckon I would slip over the river and find out what was going on. Jim liked that notion, but he said I must go in the dark and look sharp. Then he studied it over and said, couldn't I put on the old calico gown and sunbonnet and dress up like a girl? That was a good notion, too. I turned up my trouser legs to my knees and got into the gown. Jim hitched it behind with the hooks. It was a fair fit. I started up the Illinois shore in the canoe just after dark. There was a light burning in a little shanty that hadn't been lived in for a long time, and I wondered who had took up quarters there. I slipped up and peeped in at the window,
There was a woman about 40-year-old in there knitting by a candle that was on a pine table. She was a stranger, for you couldn't start a face in that town that I didn't know.
Come in. Take a chair. Now, what might your name be?
Sarah Williams.
Whereabouts do you live? In this neighborhood?
No, in Huckleberry, 7 miles below. My mother's down sick and out of money and everything, and I come to tell my Uncle Abner Moore. He lives at the upper end of the town, she says.
Oh, it's a considerable ways to the upper end of the town. My husband will be in by and by. He'll take you there.
Then she got to talking, and by she dropped on to Pap and the murder. She told about me and Tom Sawyer finding the $6,000, only she got it 10, and all about Pap and what a hard lot he was, and what a hard lot I was. And at last she got down to where I was murdered.
Who done it, Mom? We've heard considerable about these goings-on down in Huckleberry, but we don't know who 'twas that killed Huck Finn.
Some thinks old Finn done it himself.
No. Is that so?
Well, most everybody thought it at first. He'll never know how nigh he come to getting lynched. But before night they changed around, and they judged it was done by a runaway nigger named Jim.
Why,
The nigger run off the very night Huck Finn was killed. So there's a reward out for him, $300. Some folks think the nigger ain't far from here.
Is that so?
A few days ago, I was talking with the old couple that lives next door in the log shanty. And they said hardly anybody ever goes to that island over yonder that they call Jackson's Island. Now, I was pretty near certain I'd seen smoke over there about the head of the island a day or two before that. Like as not, that nigger's hiding over there.
$300 is a power of money. Is your husband going over there tonight?
Oh, yes. He went uptown to get a boat and see if he could borrow a gun. He and another man. They'll go over after midnight.
I better go now, Mom.
Oh, just a minute, dear. Just a minute. You see that hole in the corner over there?
Yes'm.
Can you see a rat peering out of that hole?
Yes'm.
Will you be a good girl and see if you can hit that rat with this here bar of lead? I wrenched my arm the other day. Those rats know I can't hit straight. They haven't given me any peace.
Well, I'll try, Mom.
Oh, hey, here he comes. You try to hit him now. That's mighty good. That's well hit.
Well, thank you.
What'd you say your name was, honey?
Mary Williams.
I thought you said it was Sarah when you first come in.
Yes'm, I did. Sarah Mary Williams. Sarah's my first name. Some call me Sarah, some call me Mary.
Now tell me, what's your real name? Is it Bill or Tom or Bob, or what is it?
Please don't make fun of a poor girl like me, Mom.
Nah, I ain't gonna tell on you. You're a runaway apprentice, that's all. You've been treated bad and you made up your mind to cut. Tell me all about it now.
Well, Mom, my father and mother's dead, and the law bound me out to a mean old farmer in the country 30 miles back from the river. He treated me so bad I couldn't stand it no longer. So I stole some of his daughter's old clothes and cleared out.
Say, when a cow's laying down, which end gets up first? Answer up prompt now. Which end gets up first?
The hind end, Mom.
Which side of a tree does the most moss grow on?
North side.
If 15 cows is browsing on a hillside, how many of them eats with their heads pointed in the same direction?
The whole 15, Mom.
Well, I reckon you have lived in the country. What's your real name now?
George Peters, Mom.
Yeah, well, try to remember it, George. Don't forget and tell me it's Alexander before you go.
No, Mom.
And if you want to wear that old calico, when you throw at a rat or anything, you hitch yourself up your tiptoe. You fetch your hand up over your head as awkward as you can, and you miss your rat by about 6 or 7 foot.
Yes, Mom.
Now trot along to your uncle, Sarah Mary Williams, George Alexander Peters. If you get into trouble, you send word to Mrs. Judith Loftus, which is me, and I'll do what I can to get you out of it.
I went up the back about 50 yards and then doubled back on my tracks to where my canoe was, a good piece below the house. I went upstream far enough to make the head of the island, and then I started across. The sound come faint over the water, but clear. 11.
When I struck the head of the island, I shoved right into the timber where my old camp used to be and started a good fire there on a high and dry spot. Then I jumped in the canoe and dug out for our place, 1.5 miles below, as far as I could go.
Jim, get up and hum yourself, Jim.
Huck?
There ain't a moment to lose. They're after us.
When the first streak of day begun to show, we tied up to a towhead in a big bend on the Illinois side and covered up the raft with cottonwood branches. We laid there all day.
Know something, Jim? When the men got to the island, I expect they found the campfire I built and just watched it all night waiting for you to come.
Lucky for us, that woman you met didn't come to the island. She was too smart to sit down and watch a campfire.
Think so, Jim?
From what you told, she's smart enough to go and fetch a dog.
Why couldn't she tell her husband to fetch a dog?
I bet she did think of it, Huck. They must have gone uptown to get a dog, so they lost all that time, else we wouldn't be here on a towhead 16 or 17 miles below the village. No, indeedy. We would be in that same old town again.
Well, I don't care what the reason was they didn't get us, just as long as they did. What are you doing with those planks, Jim?
What does it look like I'm doing? Building us a wigwam. This'll keep us snug in blazing weather and rainy. I'll put down a floor so's we can have a fire without being seen.
The second night, we run between 7 and 8 hours, with a current that was making over 4 miles an hour. We catched fish and talked. We took a swim now and then to keep off sleepiness. It was kind of solemn, drifting down the big still river, laying on our backs, looking up at the stars. We didn't ever feel like talking loud. It weren't often that we laughed, only a little kind of low chuckle. We had mighty good weather. Nothing ever happened to us at all. That night, nor the next, nor the next.
Huck, look.
It's like the whole world's lit up, Jim.
Must be St. Louis.
In St. Petersburg, they used to say there was maybe 20 or 30,000 people in St. Louis.
Sure looks likely.
It's mighty quiet.
They's asleep, Huck. Every last one of them.
Every night now, I used to slip ashore at some little village and buy 10 or 15 cents worth of meal or bacon. Take it all around, we live pretty high.
See what I mean about this wigwam, Huck, honey?
I see, Jim. We're as snug as a bug in a rug.
That's it. We let this old raft just float on down.
Hello, Jim. Looky yonder.
Steamboat. She's killed herself on that rock.
Let's land on her, Jim.
I don't want to go full along with no wreck. Like as not, there's a watchman on that wreck.
Watchman, your grandmother. You think anybody's gonna risk his life on a night like this?
We's doing blame well, Huck. We better let blame well alone, as the good book says.
You might borrow something worth having. Out of the captain's stateroom? Cigars, I bet you. And cost 5 cents apiece, solid cash. Steamboat captains is always rich and get $60 a month. Stick a candle in your pocket, Jim, till we give her a rummaging.
Let's quit while we's ahead, Huck.
You reckon Tom Sawyer would ever go by this thing? Not for a pie, he wouldn't. He'd call it an adventure. That's what he'd call it. And he'd land on that wreck if it was his last act. Why, you'd think it was Christopher Columbus discovering Kingdom Come. I wish Tom Sawyer was here.
Come on, then. But don't let's talk more than we can help.
The deck was high out here. We went sneaking down the slope of it to layboard in the dark towards the Texas deck, peeling our way slow with our feet and spreading our hands out to fend off any guy ropes, for it was so dark we couldn't see no sign of them. Pretty soon we struck the forward end of the skylight and clumb onto it. The next step fetched us in front of the captain's door, which was open. And by Jiminy, away down through the Texas hull, we see a light.
Oh, please don't, boys. I swear, I won't ever tell.
It's a lie, Jim Turner. You've acted this way before.
You always want more than your share of the truck, and you always got it, too, because you swore if you didn't, you tell. But this time, you said it just one time too many. You're the meanest, treacherousest town in this country.
Hear that, Jim?
I'm feeling powerful sick, Huck. I was going back to the raft.
All right, Jim. Jim headed back for the raft. I was just a-biling with curiosity. I says to myself, Tom Sawyer wouldn't back out now, so I won't either. So I dropped on my hands and knees in the little passage and crept forward in the dark. There was a man stretched on the floor, tied hand and foot, and two men standing over him. And one of them had a dim lantern in his hand, and the other one had a pistol. This one kept pointing the pistol at the man's head on the floor.
I'd like to, and I order to, a mean skunk.
Oh, please don't, Bill. I ain't ever gonna tell.
Hear him big? And yet if we hadn't got the best of him and tied him, he'd have killed us both.
No.
But I lay you ain't gonna threaten nobody anymore, Jim Turner. Put up that pistol, Bill.
I don't want to, Jake Packard. I'm for killing.
But I don't want him killed. And I got my reason.
Oh, bless your hearts for them words, Jake Packer. I'll never forget you, as long as I live.
Packard hung up his lantern on a nail and started towards where I was, and motioned Bill to come. I crawfished as fast as I could, but the boat slanted, so I couldn't make very good time. So I crawled into a stateroom on the upper side. When Packard got to my stateroom, he called Bill in after him. I was in the upper berth, cornered, and sorry I come.
I'm for putting him out of his troubles, Jake.
Oh, so am I, Bill. Shooting's good, but there's quieter ways if the thing's got to be done. We'll rustle around, gather up whatever pickings we've overlooked in the staterooms, and shove for shore.
What about Jim Turner?
He stays here. Ain't gonna be more than 2 hours before this wreck breaks up and washes off down the river. See? Turner will be drowned and won't have nobody to blame for it but his own self.
But suppose she don't break up and wash off.
Oh, we can wait 2 hours and see, can't we? If she don't, we can reboard and finish them off ourselves.
Now that's more like it.
So they left and I lit out, all in a cold sweat, and scrambled for the deck. It was dark as pitch there. Jim! Right there, Jim!
Huck, I told you we shouldn't be here.
Quick, Jim, no time for moaning. There's a gang of murderers in yonder. We don't hunt up their boats and set her drifting down the river so these fellas can't get away from the wreck. There's one of them going to be in a bad fix. But we can put them all in a bad fix, for the sheriff will get them. Quick, I'll hunt the larboard side, you hunt the starboard side. You start at the raft and I'll go get...
Loaded raft? There ain't no raft no more. She done broke loose and gone. And that gang of murderers is in there. And here we is.
You've just heard Episode 1 of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, adapted for radio by Marcy Cann. In the cast, Huckleberry Finn was played by Christopher Jacot, Jim was Martin Roach, Mark Twain and Ferry Captain were played by Mark Cavan. Miss Watson was Kay Hawtrey, and the Widow Douglas was Elva Mae Hoover. Also heard were Les Carlson as Pat Finn, Sandy Webster as Judge Thatcher, Peter Oldring as Tom Sawyer, and Nikki Guadagni as Mrs. Loftus. Others in the cast include Sean Matheson, Herbie Barnes, Wayne Ward, Glenn Bang, Roy Lewis, Jack Nicholson, Pierre Bro, and Sam Malkin. The music was composed by John Roby, who also played the banjo. Script editor was Dave Carley. The casting director was Julia Tate. Recording engineer was Greg DeClute, with sound effects by Wayne Richards. Associate producers are Michelle Parisi for CBC and Eugene Murphy. Toronto producers were Greg DeClute and Linda Grierson. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn was directed in Toronto. Executive producer for Canada was Damiano Pietropaulo. Good evening and welcome to Sunday Showcase. I'm Damiano Pietropaulo. Tonight, we continue with our dramatization of Mark Twain's Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Jim, a runaway slave, seeks freedom down the Mississippi in the town of Cairo. But beyond the town lie the slave territories of the Deep South. And Jim's traveling buddy, Huck, is having pangs of conscience. He wonders if he should be returning Jim to his slave owner rather than helping him escape. Here now is episode 2 of our special presentation of Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, starring Martin Roach and Christopher Jacot.
Huckleberry Finn, son of the town drunkard, has run away from his persecuting father and from a persecuting good widow who wishes to make a nice, truth-telling, respectable boy of him. Huck and a runaway slave named Jim have found a fragment of a lumber raft and are floating down the Mississippi by night and hiding in the willows by day. One night, while exploring a wrecked steamboat on the river, Huck comes upon a trio of thieves arguing over the division of their loot. He overhears two members of the gang planning to murder the third man.
Well, I catched my breath and most fainted. Shut up on a wreck with such a gang as that. But it weren't no time to be sentimental. Jim, we've got to find that boat now before the thieves get it.
This deck's too slippery for me, huh?
Hang on to the shutters.
Well, what do you think I'm doing?
Jim, there's the skiff. In a half second, I was in the boat, and Jim come a-tumbling after me. I out with my knife and cut the rope, and away we went.
Look, see that light yonder?
It's the scoundrels, Jim. They're up on deck looking for the skiff.
They know for sure they's in trouble now.
After a long time, the rain let up, but the lightning kept whimpering. And by, a flash showed us a black thing ahead floating, and we made for it. It was the raft. Mighty glad was we to get aboard of it again. The skiff was half full of plunder which that gang had stole there on the wreck. We hustled it onto the raft in a pile, and before long, here comes the steamboat sliding along down. A kind of cold shiver went through me, and then I struck out for her. She was very deep, and I see in a minute there weren't much chance for anybody being alive in her. Hello? Anybody there? Anybody hear me? The sky was beginning to get a little gray in the east, so we struck for an island and hid the raft and sunk the skiff and turned in and slept like dead people. Next morning, we turned over the truck the gang had stole off the wreck and found boots and blankets and a lot of books and a spyglass and 3 boxes of cigars. We had never been this rich before, in neither of our lives. The cigars was prime. We laid off all afternoon in the woods talking, and me reading considerable to Jim about the kings and dukes and earls and such, and how gaudy they dressed and how much style they put on.
I didn't know there was so many of them. I ain't heard about none of them. How much do a king get?
Get? Why, they get $1,000 a month if they want it. They can have just as much money as they want. Everything belongs to them.
Ain't that gay? Now what they got to do, Huck?
They don't do nothing. Why, how you talk? They just sit around.
No. Is that so?
Of course it is. They just sit around. Except maybe when there's a war. Then they go to war. But the other times, they just lazy around or go hawking. Just hawking. Shh. You hear something?
Ain't nothing but the flood of a steamboat's wheel away down come around the point. Hey, go on with the royalty, Huck.
Well, when things is dull, they fuss with the parliament. And if everybody don't go just so, the king whacks their heads off. But mostly they hang around the harem.
Around the which?
Harem.
What's the harem?
Place where the king keeps his wives. Don't you know about the harem? Solomon had one. He had about 1 million wives.
Why, yeah, that's so. I done forgot it. They say Solomon was the wisest man that ever lived. But he had some of the dad-fetchest ways I ever see. Does you know about that child that he was going chopping too?
Yes, the widow told me all about it.
Well, then, weren't that the beatin'est notion in the world? Yeah. That's the stump there. That's one of the women. Here's you. That's the other one. I's Solomon, and this here dollar bill's the child. Both of you claims it. What does I do? Does I shine around amongst the neighbors and find out which of you the bill do belong to and hand it over to the right one all safe and sound? No, I take and whack the bill in two and give half of it to you and the other half to the other woman.
Now, I want to ask you, what's the use of that $5 Can't buy nothing with it. And what's the use of half a child?
Well, hang it, Jim. You clean missed the point.
Who, me? Go long. Don't talk to me about your points. I reckon I knows what I knows. And mind you, the real point is down further. It's down deeper. See, it lays in the way Solomon was raised. You take a man that's got only 1 or 2 children. Is that man going to be wasteful of children? No, he ain't. He can't afford it. He know how to value them. But you take a man that's got 5 million children running out of the house, then it's different. He as soon chop a child in two as a cat. There's plenty more.
I never seen such a nigger. If he got a notion in his head once, there weren't no getting it out again. So I went to talking about other kings and let Solomon slide. I told about Louis XVI that got his head cut off in France long time ago, and about his little boy, the Dolphin, that would have been a king, but they shut him up in jail, and some say he died there.
Poor little chap.
But some say he got out and got away and come to America.
That's good. But he be pretty lonesome. There ain't no kings here, is there, Huck?
No.
Then he can't get no situation. What's he going to do?
Well, I don't know. Some of them gets on the police, and some of them learns people how to talk French.
Why, Huck, don't the French people talk the same way we does?
No, Jim. You couldn't understand a word they say, not a single word. Suppose a man was to come to you and say, "Parlez-vous Français?" What would you think?
I wouldn't think nothing. I'd take and bust him over the head.
Shucks, he ain't calling you anything. He's only saying, do you know how to talk French?
Well, why couldn't he say it?
Why, he is a saying it. That's a Frenchman's way of saying it.
Well, it's a blame ridiculous way. There ain't no sense in it.
Looky here, Jim. Does a cat talk like we do?
No, a cat don't.
Well, does a cow?
No, a cow don't nother.
Does a cat talk like a cow or a cow talk like a cat?
No, they don't.
And ain't it natural and right for a cow and a cat to talk different from us?
Why, most surely is.
Well, then, why ain't it natural and right for Frenchmen to talk different from us? You answer me that.
Is a cat a man, Huck?
No.
Well, then, there ain't no sense in a cat talking like a man. Is a cow a man? Is a cow a cat?
No, she ain't either of them.
Well, then she ain't got no business to talk like either of them. Is a Frenchman a man?
Yes.
Well, then, Dad, blame it. Why don't he talk like a man? You answer me that.
I see it weren't no use wasting words. You can't learn a nigger to argue. So I quit. Well, the following night a fog begun to come on, and we made for a towhead to tie the raft to. When I paddled ahead in the canoe, there weren't anything but little saplings to tie to. I passed the line of the raft around one of them, right on the edge of the cut bank, but there was a stiff current, and the raft with Jim on it come booming down so lively she tore it out by the roots and away she went.
Jim! Jim, slow down!
Can't slow it down. Huck? Where are you?
I see the fog closing down, and it made me so sick and scared I couldn't budge for most half a minute. And then there weren't no raft in sight. You couldn't see 20 yards. I took out after the raft in the canoe hot and heavy, but I shot out into the solid white fog and had no more idea which way I was going than a dead man.
Woo!
I kept quiet, with my ears cocked about 50 minutes, I reckon. If you think it ain't dismal and lonesome out in the fog that way by yourself in the night, you try it once. You'll see.
Woo!
Well, I seemed to be in the open river again by and by. I reckon Jim had fetched up on a snag maybe, and it was all up with him. I was good and tired, so I lay down in the canoe and said I wouldn't bother no more. I was so sleepy, I thought I would take just one little cat nap. But I reckon it was more than a cat nap, for when I waked up, the stars was shining bright. The fog was all gone, and I was spinning down a big bend stern first. It was a monstrous big river here, with the tallest and thickest timber on both banks. I looked away downstream and seen a black speck on the water. But when I got to it, it weren't nothing but a couple of saw logs made fast together. Then I see another speck, and I chased that. Then another, and this time I was right. It was the raft. When I got to it, Jim was sitting there with his head down between his knees asleep, with his right arm hanging over the steering oar. The other oar was smashed off. The raft was littered up with leaves and branches and dirt, so she'd had a rough time.
Oh, Jim. I've been asleep. Why didn't you stir me up?
Goodness gracious, is that you, Huck? And you ain't dead? You ain't drowned? You's back again. It's too good for true, honey. It's too good for true.
What's the matter with you, Jim?
Let me look at you, child. Let me feel of you. No, you ain't dead. You's live and sound, just the same old Huck. Thanks to goodness.
You been a drinking, Jim?
Drinking? Has I had a chance to be a drinking?
Then what makes you talk so wild?
How does I talk wild?
How? Haven't you been talking about my coming back as if I'd been gone away?
Huck? Huck Finn, you look me in the eye. Look me in the eye. Ain't you been gone away?
Gone away? Ain't been gone anywheres. Where would I go to?
Well, looky here, boss. You answer me this. Didn't you tow out the line in the canoe for to make fast to the towhead?
No, I didn't. What towhead? I ain't seen no towhead.
You ain't seen no towhead? Looky here. Didn't the line pull loose and the raft go a-humming down the river and leave you in the canoe behind in the fog?
What fog?
Why the fog? And didn't you whoop? And didn't I whoop till we got mixed up in the islands? And didn't I have a terrible time and most get drowned?
Well, this is too much for me, Jim. I ain't seen no fog, nor no island, nor no troubles, nor nothing. I've been sitting here talking with you all night till you went to sleep about 10 minutes ago. You must have been dreaming.
Dad, fetch it. How's I going to dream all that in 10 minutes?
Well, hang it all. You did dream it because there didn't any of it happen.
Is that so? In that case, if it's a dream, I must start in and interpret it.
Go ahead, Jim.
Them towheads was troubles we was going to get into with quarrelsome people and all kinds of mean folks. But if we mind our business and don't aggravate 'em, Huck, we're going to pull true and get out of the fog and into the big clear river, which is the free states. And there won't be no more trouble.
That's well enough, Jim. But what about all these leaves and rubbish? And this smashed door? What do they stand for? Jim looked at the trash and then looked at me and back at the trash again. He had got the dream fixed so strong in his head that he couldn't seem to shake it loose. But when he did get things straightened around, he looked at me steady, without ever smiling.
What do they stand for, Huck? I was going to tell you. When I got all wore out with work, and with the calling for you and went to sleep, my heart was most broke because you was lost. And I didn't care no more what became of me or the raft. And when I wake up and find you back again, all safe and sound, the tears come and I could have got down on my knees and kissed your foot. I was so thankful. And all you was thinking about was how you could have made a fool of old Jim with a lie. That truck there on the raft is trash. And trash is what people is that puts dirt on the head of their friends and make 'em ashamed.
Then he got up slow and went to the wigwam without saying anything but that. But that was enough. It was 15 minutes before I could work myself up to go and humble myself to a nigger. But I'd done it, and I weren't ever sorry for it afterwards neither. We judged that 3 nights more would fetch us to Cairo at the bottom of Illinois, where the Ohio River comes in, and that was where we was after. We would sell the raft and get on a steamboat and go way up the Ohio amongst the free states, and then be out of trouble.
Huck, do you reckon we's gonna recognize Cairo when we get to it?
Likely we won't, Jim. I heard say there weren't but a dozen houses there. And if they don't happen to be lit up, how is we gonna know we's passing a town?
Well, if the two big rivers join together there, that would show.
You reckon?
Stands to reason.
Looky there, Jim. Now that's what you call a raft.
Must be 30 men or more.
2, 3, 5 wigwams, Jim. An open campfire and a flagpole at each end.
Powerful stylish.
There she goes.
Huck, tell you what. It's such a black night, it won't be no risk for you to swim down to the big raft and listen. They sure to talk about Cairo. They'll be calculating to go ashore there full spree.
Jim could almost always start a good plan when you wanted one. So I shook my rags off and jumped into the river and struck out for the raft slide. By and by, when I got down nearly to her, I eased up and went slow and cautious. But everything was all right. Nobody at the sweeps, so I crawled aboard and inched along and got in amongst some bundles of shingles on the weather side of the fire. There was 13 men on deck there, and a mighty rough-looking lot, too.
There was an old woman in our town she did dwell. She loved her husband dearly, but another man twice as well. Singing to-ra-lo-ra-lo-ra, ra-to-ra-lo-ra-ree. Singing to-ra-lo-ra-lo-ra, ra-to-ra-lo-ra-ree. We heard all we need to. That's the tune the old town died on. We heard all we need to. She went down to the doctor's shop to see what she could find, to see if she could find anything to make her old man blind. Singing to-ra-lo-ra-lo-ra, ra-to-ra-lo-ra-ree. Singing to-ra-lo-ra-lo-ra, ra-to-ra-lo-ra-ree. You watch it. I can lam any teeth here. Man's got a right to sing. Hey, let's give him a midnight swim. Yeah. 14 against 1. I like them all.
They was all about to make a break for him, but the biggest man there jumped up and says,
"Sit where you are, gentlemen. Leave him to me. He's my meat."
Then he jumped up in the air 3 times and cracked his heels together. He flung off a buckskin coat that was all hung with fringes and flung his hat down, which was all over ribbons.
Woo! I'm the original iron-jawed, brass-mounted, copper-bellied corpse maker from the wilds of Arkansas. Look at me! I'm the man they call sudden death and general desolation. Sired by a hurricane, damned by an earthquake, half-brother to the cholera, nearly related to the smallpox on the mother's side. Look at me! I take 19 alligators and a barrel of whiskey for breakfast when I'm in robust health, and a bushel of rattlesnakes and a dead body when I'm ailing. Whee! Stand back and give me room according to my strength. Blood's my natural drink, and the wails of the dying is music to my ear. Lay low, gentlemen, and hold your breath, for I'm about to turn myself loose.
All the time he was getting this off, he was shaking his head and looking fierce and kind of swelling around in a little circle. Then the man that started the row, the original singer, he tilted his old slouch hat over his right eye, then he bent stooping forwards, with his back sagged and his south end sticking out far, and his fists a-shoving out and drawn in. Then he straightened and jumped up and cracked his heels together 3 times.
Bow your neck and spread, for the kingdom of sorrows a comin'. Hold me down to earth, for I feel my powers are working. I'm a child of sin. Don't let me get a start. Smoked glass here for all. Don't attempt to look at me with the naked eye, gentlemen. When I'm playful, I use the meridians of longitude and latitude for the Seine and drag the Atlantic Ocean for whales. When I'm cold, I bile the Gulf of Mexico and bathe in it. When I'm hot, I fan myself with an equinoctial storm. When I'm thirsty, I reach up and suck a cloud dry like a sponge. Contemplate me through leather. Don't use the naked eye. The massacre of isolated communities is the pastime of my idle moments. The destruction of nationalities, the serious business of my life. The boundless vastness of the great American desert is my enclosed property, and I bury my dead on my own premises. Bow your head and spread. For the pet child of calamities coming.
Then the other one went to swilling around and blowing again. The first one, the one they called Bob. Next, the child of calamity chipped in again, bigger than ever. Then they both got at it at the same time, punching their fists most into each other's faces and whooping and jawing like Indians. Both of them was edging away in different directions, growling and shaking their heads and going on about what they was gonna do. But then a little black whiskered chap skips up and says,
"Come back here, you couple chicken liver cowards, and I'll thrash the two of you."
And he done it, too.
Come here, you...
He snatched them, he jerked them this way and that, he booted them around, he knocked them, sprawling faster than they could get up. Why, it weren't 2 minutes till they begged like dogs. Well, it was a perfect powwow for a while. Bob and the child had red noses and black eyes when they got through.
Come on, you two. Own up that you's both sneaks and cowards and not fit to eat with a dog or drink with a nigger.
Well, I've always respected you, Davy.
And I've always respected Bob here.
Come on now. Let bygones be bygones, huh?
If you're willing, and I am.
So then they went and washed their faces in the river. They got to talking about differences betwixt hogs and their different kinds of habits, and next about women and their different ways, and next about the best ways to put out houses that was afire, and what ought to be done with the engines, and about what a king had to do, and how much he got, and how to make cats fight, and what to do when a man has fits, and next about differences betwixt clear water rivers and muddy water ones.
Well, muddy Mississippi water is wholesomer to drink than your clear Ohio water.
That's so. There's nutritiousness in the Mississippi mud.
Look at the graveyards. That tells the tale. Trees won't grow worth shucks in the Cincinnati graveyard, but in the St. Louis graveyard, they grow upwards of 800 foot high.
That's on account of the water the people drunk before they laid up. A Cincinnati corpse don't rich in a soil any.
And those rivers don't like to mix.
Well, why should the thick, yaller Mississippi allow itself to be contaminated by all that clear Ohio water?
That's what I say. Come on, boys. We'll split a watermelon on that.
The child of calamity come rummaging around in the dark amongst the shingle bundles where I was and put his hand on me. I was warm and soft and naked, so he jumps back.
Fetch a lantern, boys. There's a snake here as big as a cow.
Come out of that, you beggar.
A cussed thief. Lend a hand and let's heave him overboard.
Yeah. No. Let's get out a paint pot and paint him sky blue all over from head to heel, and then heave him over.
That's it. Go for the paint, Jimmy.
Please, no, sir. Leave off. He's nothing but a cub. I'll paint the man that touches him. Now, come here to the fire and give an account of yourself. How long have you been aboard here?
Not over a quarter of a minute, sir.
How'd you get dry so quick?
I don't know, sir. I'm always that way, mostly.
Oh, you are you? Well, what's your name?
Alec Hopkins, sir. Alec James Hopkins.
Well, Alec, where do you come from?
From a trading scow. She lays up the bend yonder. I was born on her. Papa's traded up and down here all his life, and he told me to swim off here when you went by because he would like to get some of you to speak to a Mr. Jonas Turner in Cairo and tell him that we...
Oh, come.
Yes, sir. It's as true as the world. Pappy says...
Oh, your grandmother.
Now, looky here. You're scared, and so you talk wild. Honest now, do you live in a scow, or is it a lie?
Yes, sir. In a scow. But I wasn't born in her. It's our first trip.
Now you're talking. What'd you come aboard here for? To steal?
No, sir. It was only to get a ride on the raft. All boys does that.
Well, we know that. But what did you hide for?
Sometimes they drive the boys off.
So they do. They might steal. Looky here. If we let you off this time, will you keep out of these kind of scrapes hereafter?
Oh, deed I will, boss. You try me.
All right, then.
Overboard with you. Blast it, boy. Some harassment would rawhide you till you were black and blue.
I didn't wait to kiss goodbye, but went overboard and broke for shore. When Jim come along by and by, the big raft was away out of sight around the point. I swum out and got aboard our little raft and was mighty glad to see home again. There weren't nothing to do now but to look out sharp for Cairo and not pass it without seeing it.
I'm mighty sure to see it, Huck, because I'll be a free man the minute I sees it. And if I miss it, I'll be in slave country and no more show for freedom. Huck, there's Cairo. Them lights over there.
That's not Cairo, Jim. Them's jack-o'-lanterns or lightning bugs.
You's right, Huck. You's right. I'm so close to freedom now. Eyes all over trembly and feverish.
Well, I can tell you it made me all over trembly and feverish, too, to hear 'em, because I begun to get it through my head that Jim was most free. And who's to blame for it? Why, me. I couldn't get that out of my conscience, no how nor no way. It hadn't never come home to me before what this thing was that I was doing, but now it did, and it stayed with me. It scorched me more and more. Conscience says to me, what had poor Miss Watson done to you, that you could see her nigger go off right under your eyes and never say a word? What did that poor old woman do to you that you could treat her so mean? Why, she tried to learn you your book. She tried to learn you your manners. She tried to be good to you every way she learned how. That's what she done. I fidgeted up and down the raft, abusing myself to myself, and Jim was fidgeting up and down past me. Every time he danced around and says, "That's Cairo," it went through me like a shot. I thought if it was Cairo, I reckon I would die of miserableness.
First things I was going to do when I get to a free state, I was going to save up my money, never spend one single cent. And then when I gets enough, I was going to buy my wife. She's on a farm close to Miss Watson's. And then we both going to get work and buy 2 children, a boy and a girl. And if the master won't sell 'em, we's going to get an abolitionist to go and steal 'em.
It most froze me to hear such talk. He would never dare to talk such talk in his life before. Thinks I, this is what comes of my not thinking. Here was this nigger, which I had as good as helped to run away, coming right out flat-footed and saying he would steal his children. Children that belonged to a man I didn't even know. A man that had never done me no harm. I was sorry to hear Jim say that. It was such a lowering of him. My conscience got to stirring me up hotter than ever, until at last I says to it, "Let up on me. It ain't too late yet. I'll paddle ashore at first light and tell." I felt easy and happy and light as a feather right off. All my troubles was gone. I went looking out sharp for a light, and by one showed.
We safe, Huck. We safe. Jump up and crack your heels. That's the good old Cairo at last. I just knows it.
I'll take the canoe and go see, Jim. It mightn't be, you know.
You do that, Huck. Pretty soon I'll be a shouting for joy, and I'll say, it's all on account of old Huck. I was a free man, and I couldn't have ever been free if it hadn't been for Huck. Huck done it. Jim won't ever forget you, Huck. He was the best friend Jim's ever had. And he was the only friend old Jim's got now.
I was paddling off all in a sweat to tell on him. When he says this, it seems to kind of take the tuck out of me. When I was 50 yards out, Jim says,
"There you goes. The old true Huck. The only white gentleman that ever kept his promise to old Jim."
Well, I just felt sick. But I says, I gotta do it. I can't get out of it. Right then along come a skiff with 2 men in it, with guns. And they stopped, and I stopped.
You there! What's that yonder?
A piece of a raft.
Do you belong on it?
Yes, sir.
And a man on it.
Only one, sir.
Well, there's 5 niggers run off tonight up yonder above the head of the bend. Is your man white or black?
He's white.
Well, I reckon we'll go and see for ourselves.
Oh, I wish you would, because it's Pop that's there. And maybe you'll help me tow the raft ashore where the light is. He's sick, and so is Ma'am and Mary Ann.
Oh, the devil! We're in a hurry, boy, but I suppose we've got to.
Oh, Pep will be mighty much obliged to you. I can tell you. Everybody goes away when I want them to help me tow the raft ashore.
Say, boy, what's the matter with your father?
It's the, well, it ain't nothing much.
Boy, that's a lie. Now, what is the matter with your pap? Answer up square now.
I will, honest. But don't leave us, please. It's the... Gentlemen, if you'll only let me heave you the headline, you won't have to come near the raft. But please do.
Set her back, John, set her back! Keep away, boy, keep the lure. Confound it, your pap's gone and got the smallpox, and you know it fresh as well. Why didn't you come out and say so?
Well, I've told everybody before, and they just went away and left us.
Oh, poor devil. There's something in that. We are right down sorry for you, but well, hang it, we don't want the smallpox, see? Look here, I'll tell you what to do. You float along down about 20 miles, and you'll come to a town on the left-hand side of the river. But when you ask for help, you tell them your folks are all down with the chills and fever. Here, I'll put a $20 gold piece on this here board, and you'll get it when it floats by.
Hold on there, Parker. Here's 20 to put on the board for me. Goodbye, boy. If you see any runaway niggers, you get help and nab them. You can make some money by it.
Goodbye, sir. I won't let no runaway niggers get by me if I can help it. I got aboard the raft feeling bad and low, because I knowed very well I had done wrong. And I see it weren't no use for me to try to learn to do right. A body that don't get started right when he's little ain't got no show. Then I thought a minute and says to myself, hold on, suppose you'd have done right and give Jim up. Would you felt better than what you do now? No, I says, I'd feel bad. I'd feel just the same way I do now. So then I reckon I wouldn't bother no more about it. But after this, always do whichever comes handiest at the time. Jim?
Here he is, Huck. Don't talk loud.
He was in the river under the stern oar with just his nose out.
Out of sight, Jim.
Lawsy, how did you fool him, Huck? That was the smartest dodge. I tell you, child, I expect you save old Jim. Old Jim ain't gonna forget you for that, honey.
Give me money, Jim. Look, $20 apiece.
Oh, when we gets to Cairo, Huck, we can take deck passage on a steamboat. These dollars will last us as far as we want to go in the Free States.
Towards daybreak, we tied up. Jim worked all day fixing things in bundles and getting all ready to quit rafting. That night we passed another town, and I was going out to ask about it, but it was high ground. No high ground about Cairo, Jim said. I had forgot it. We laid up for the day on a towhead tolerable close to the left-hand bank. I begun to suspicion something. So did Jim.
Jim? Maybe we went by Cairo in the fog that night.
Don't let's talk about it, Huck. Poor niggas can't have no luck.
When it was daylight, here was the clear Ohio water and shore, and outside was the old regular Mississippi muddy. So it was all up with Cairo.
What do you reckon we do now, Huck?
Well, it won't do to take to the shore, not while we're deep in slave country. We can't take the raft upstream. I reckon we wait for dark, Jim, and start back in the canoe and take our chances.
That's what I reckon, too.
We slept all day amongst the cottonwood thicket so as to be fresh for the work. And when we went back to the raft about dark, the canoe was gone. We didn't say a word for a good while. But by and by, we found there weren't no way but just to go along down with the raft till we got a chance to buy a canoe to go back in. Well, the night got gray and rather thick, which is the next meanest thing to fog. You can't tell the shape of the river, and you can't see no distance.
Steamboat up ahead.
Light the lantern, Jim. She's bound to see us.
Lantern's lit, Huck. Lordy, she's aiming right at us.
Often they do that, Jim. Trying to see how close she can come without touching.
She's going to touch us if she don't slow down.
Trying to shave us. She'll butt off one of the oars, then the pilot will stick his head out and laugh at us. And he'll think he's mighty smart.
She's not escaping us, Huck. I don't think she's seen us.
She was a big one. And she was coming in a hurry, too. Looking like a black cloud with rows of glowworms round it. All of a sudden, she bulged out, big and scary, with a long row of wide-open furnace doors shining like red-hot teeth, and her monstrous bows and guards hanging right over us. I dived and aimed to find the bottom, too, for a 30-foot wheel had to go over me, and I wanted it to have plenty of room. I could always stay underwater a minute. This time, I reckon I stayed under a minute and a half. Then I bounced for the top in a hurry, for I was nearly busted. Of course, that boat started her engines again 10 seconds after she stopped them, but they never cared much for raftsmen.
Jim! Jim! Jim, can you hear me?
I grabbed a plank that touched me when I was treading water and struck out for shore, shoving it ahead of me. I made a safe landing and clumb up the bank. I couldn't see but a little ways, but I went poking along over rough ground for a quarter of a mile or more. And then I ran across a big old-fashioned double log house before I noticed it. I was going to rush by and get away. I know better than to move another pack.
Be done, boys! Who's there?
It's me.
Who's me?
George Jackson, sir.
What are you prowling around here this time of night for, hey?
I weren't prowling around, sir. I fell overboard off the steamboat.
Oh, you did you? Strike a light there, somebody. What did you say your name was?
George Jackson, sir. I'm only a boy.
Look here. If you're telling the truth, you needn't be afraid. Nobody'll hurt you. But don't try to budge. Stand right where you are. Rouse out Bob and Tom, some of you, and fetch the guns. George Jackson, is there anybody with you?
No, sir. Nobody.
Oh, snap that light away, Betsy, you old fool. Ain't you got no sense? Put it on the floor behind the front door. Bob, if you and Tom are ready, take your places.
All ready, Father.
Now, George Jackson, do you know the Shepherdsons?
No, sir. I never heard of them.
Well, that may be so, and it mayn't. Now, all ready? Step forward, George Jackson. Come slow. Push the door open yourself. Just enough to squeeze into here.
There. That's enough. Put your head in.
The candle was on the floor, and there they all was, looking at me at them. 3 big men with guns pointed at me, which made me wince, I tell you. The oldest, gray and about 60, and the other 2 30 or more. All of them fine and handsome, and the sweetest old gray-headed lady, and back of her 2 young women which I couldn't see right well.
There. I reckon it's all right. Come into the parlor. Why, he ain't a Shepherdson. No, there ain't no Shepherdson about him. Now, young man, you tell all about yourself.
Well, bless you, Saul. The poor thing's as wet as he can be. And don't you reckon it maybe he's hungry?
True for you, Rachel. I forgot.
Betsy, you fly around and you get him something to eat, poor thing. And one of you girls, you go and wake up Buck and you oh, here he is himself. Buck, you take this little stranger and you get the wet clothes off from him and dress him up in some of yours that's dry.
Buck looked about as old as me, 13 or 14 or along there. Though he was a little bigger than me, he came in yawning and digging one fist into his eyes, and he was dragging a gun along with the other one.
Ain't they no Shepherdsons around?
No, boy. False alarm.
Well, if they'd have been some, I reckon I'd have got one.
Why, Buck, they might have scalped us all. You've been so slow coming down the stairs.
Well, nobody come after me. I'm always kept down. I don't get no show.
Never mind, Buck, my boy. You'll have show enough, all in good time. Don't you fret about that. Go along with you now, and do as your mother told you.
When we got upstairs to his room, Buck got me a coarse shirt and a short jacket and pants of his, and I put them on.
Say, George Jackson, where was Moses when the candle went out?
Oh, no. I never heard about it before.
Well, guess.
Well, which candle?
Why, any candle. Where was Moses?
I don't know. Where was he?
Why, he was in the dark. That's where he was.
Well, if you knowed where he was, why'd you ask me for?
What, blame it? It's a riddle, don't you see? Say, how long are you going to stay here? You got to stay always. We can just have booming times. They don't have no school now. Do you own a dog? I've got a dog, and he'll go in the river and bring out chips that you throw in. Are you ready? All right, come along, old boss.
Cold corn pone, cold corned beef, butter and buttermilk. That is what they had for me down there, and there ain't nothing better that I've ever come across yet. They all smoked and talked and asked me questions. Well, Pop and me and all the family was living on a little farm down at the bottom of Arkansas. And my sister Mary Ann run off and got married and never was heard of no more. And Bill went to hunt them, and he weren't heard of no more. And Tom and Mort died, and then there weren't nobody but just me and Pat. And he was just trimmed down to nothing on account of his troubles. So when he died, I took what there was left and started up the river, deck passage, and kind of fell overboard.
Well, George, my boy, that's a mighty sad story. And you can have a home here with us as long as you want it.
There was another clan of aristocracy around there, 5 or 6 families of the name of Shepherdson. They was as high-toned and well-born and rich and grand as the tribe of Grangerfords. One day, Buck and me was away out in the woods hunting.
Quick, George, jump for cover.
It's Harney Shepherdson, ain't it, Buck?
Quiet. Darn, missed.
He shot off his hat, Buck.
No need to rub it in.
Buck, he's coming this way.
Oh, come on, run. It's all right. He can't get us here.
Did you want to kill him, Buck?
I bet I did.
Why? What did Harney do to you?
Him? He never done nothing to me.
Well, then, why'd you want to kill him for?
Why, nothing. Only it's on account of the feud.
What's the feud?
Why, where was you raised? Don't you know what a feud is?
Never heard of it before.
Well, a feud is this way. A man has a quarrel with another man and kills him. Then that other man's brother kills him. And then the other brothers on both sides goes for one another. Then the cousins chip in, and by everybody's killed off and there ain't no more feud. But it's kind of slow and it takes a long time.
Has this feud been going on long, Buck?
Well, I should reckon. It started 30 years ago. There was trouble about something, then a lawsuit to settle it. And the suit went again one of the men, so he up and shot the man that won the suit, which he would naturally do, of course. Anybody would.
What was the trouble about, Buck? Land?
I reckon maybe. I don't know.
Who done the shooting? Was it a Grangerford or a Shepherdson?
Laws, how do I know? It was so long ago.
There been many killed, Buck?
Yes. Right smart chance of funerals. But they don't always kill. Pa's got a few buckshot in him. Bob's been carved up some with a bowie, and Tom's been hurt once or twice.
Next Sunday, we all went to church about 3 mile, everybody a horseback. The men took their guns along, so did Buck, and kept them between their knees or stood them handy against the wall. The Shepherdsons done the same. It was pretty ordinary preaching, all about brotherly love and such like tiresomeness. But everybody said it was a good sermon, and they all talked it over going home about faith and good works and free grace and predestination, that it did seem to me to be one of the roughest Sundays I had run across yet.
George, where's Buck, George?
He's stretched out on the grass, Miss Sophia.
George, would you do me a great favor and not tell anyone?
Of course, Miss Sophia.
I forgot my testament. It's on my seat at church between 2 other books. Would you slip out quiet and fetch it for me? And don't mention it to anyone.
I slid out and slipped off up the road. There weren't anybody at the church. Says I to myself, something's up. It ain't natural for a girl to be in such a sweat about a testament. So I give it a shake, and out drops a little piece of paper with 2:30 wrote on it with a pencil. I ransacked it, but couldn't find anything else. So I put the paper in the book again, and when I got home and upstairs, there was Miss Sophia in her door waiting for me. She pulled me in and shut the door.
Fang, you are the best boy in the world.
Miss Sophia, there was a paper in it.
Oh, that. Well, just a bookmark. You go and play now.
I went off down to the river, studying over this thing, and pretty soon I noticed that Jack, my nigger, was following along behind.
Master George, if you come down into the swamp, I'll show you a whole stack of water moccasins.
That's what you told me yesterday, Jack, and I told you I seen enough of those snakes in my time than to have to go hunting for them.
Please, Master George, if you shove into that swamp just a few steps, that's where they is.
Then Jack sloped away, and I poked into the swamp a ways and come to a little open patch as big as a bedroom, all hung around with vines, and found a man lying there asleep. And by jinks, it was my old Jim. I waked him up, and I reckon it was going to be a grand surprise to him to see me again. But it weren't.
I knowed you was with the Grangerfords, Huck. The niggers, they show me this place where the dogs can't track me on account of the water. And they brings me chuck to eat every night and tells me how you was getting along.
Why didn't you tell my Jack to fetch me here sooner, Jim?
Well, I've been a-buying pots and pans and victuals as I got the chance, and patching up the raft nice.
What raft, Jim?
Our old raft.
You mean to say our old raft weren't smashed all to flinders?
She was tore up a good deal, but there weren't no great harm done. She all fixed up again, most good as new. We can light out again whenever you's ready.
I don't want to talk much about the next day. I waked up about dawn when I noticed how still it was. Didn't seem to be anybody stirring. Next I noticed that Buck was up and gone.
Jack! What's going on, Jack? Where is everyone?
Don't you know, Master George? Miss Sophia run off to get married to that young Harney Shepardson. The family found it out about a half hour ago, and I tell you, such another hurrying up of guns and horses you ain't never see. I reckon there's going to be mighty rough times.
I took up the river road as hard as I could put. When I come inside of the log store where the steamboats land, I worked along under the trees till I got to a good place, and then I clumb up into the forks of a cottonwood that was out of reach and watched. There were 4 or 5 Shepherdsons cavorting around on their horses in the open place before the log store, trying to get a Buck and his cousin that was behind the woodpile. But they couldn't come it. By and by, the Shepherdsons stopped cavorting around and started riding towards the store. Then up gets Buck, draws a steady bead over the woodpile, and drops one of them out of the saddle. All the men jumped off their horses and grabbed the hurt one and started to carry him to the store.
I got him! Hope he's good and dead. Buck! They're riding away, Buck! George? I'm up here, Buck. You watch out sharp, George. Those men won't be gone long. Me and Cousin Joe will make up for this day yet. Father's killed, and Bob and Tom and 2 or 3 Shepherdsons. They laid for us in ambush. Cousin Joe and I will finish them off. Don't you worry. Buck, what about Harney and Miss Sophia? They got across the river. They're safe. I should have shot Harney dead that day in the woods, George. I should have blowed his head off. Buck, the Shepherdsons behind you!
The boys jumped to the river, both of them hurt. I ain't gonna tell all that happened. It would make me sick again if I was to do that. I wished I had never come ashore that night to see such things. I ain't never gonna get shut of them. Lots of times I dream about them. When I got down out of the tree, I crept along down the riverbank a piece and found the 2 bodies laying on the edge of the water and tugged at them till I got them ashore. I cried a little as I was covering up Buck's face, for he was mighty good to me. It was just dark now. I tramped off in a hurry for the creek, red hot to jump aboard and get out of that awful country. The raft was gone. My souls, but I was scared.
Jim! Can you hear me, Jim?
Is that you, honey? Don't make no noise. Laws bless you, child. I was right sure you was dead again.
Don't lose no time, Jim. Just shove off for the big water as fast as ever you can. I never felt easy till the raft was 2 miles below there and out in the middle of the Mississippi. It's lovely to live on a raft. We had the sky up there all speckled with stars, and we used to lay on our backs and look up at them. What do you reckon, Jim?
Were the stars made, or they only just happened?
I reckon they was made.
I think they happened, because it would have took too long to make so many.
Well, the moon could have laid them.
Think so?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I reckon that's reasonable. I've seen a frog lay most as many eggs.
Huck, see that?
Falling star, Jim. Streaking down.
I reckon that's a spoiled star. So it got hoed out of the nest.
One morning about daybreak, I found a canoe and crossed over a chute to the main shore and paddled about a mile up a creek amongst the cypress woods to see if I couldn't get some berries. Well, here comes a couple of men tearing up the path as tight as they could foot it. I thought I was a goner, for whenever anybody was after anybody, I judged it was me, or maybe Jim. I was about to dig out from there in a hurry.
You there! Save us! We beg you! Help us! We ain't done nothing! They're after us, please!
Wait down to me and get in!
They done it, and as soon as they was aboard the canoe, I lit out for our towhead. By the time we had left a mile of woods behind us and struck the river, we could hardly hear the dogs anymore.
You'll be safe in these cottonwoods. This is our raft. We can take you downriver.
Oh, bless you.
Oh, mighty kind, mighty kind.
Who they, Huck?
Don't know, Jim. They're being chased up near the creek.
I don't like it, Huck. I don't like it one bit.
You'll be okay, Jim.
What you gonna tell them about me?
I'll think of something.
It ain't safe, Huck. With these two rum-looking characters here, you and me ain't safe no more.
Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, adapted for radio by Marcy Cann. In the cast, Huckleberry Finn was played by Christopher Jacot, Jim was Martin Roach, Mark Twain was played by Mark Cavan, Child of Calamity was Randy Hewson, Davy was Jim Jones, and Bob was played by Lawrence Bain. Also heard were Wally Michaels as Colonel Grangerford, Nicky Guadagni as his wife, Buck was played by Amos Crawley, the Duke was James Key, and the King was played by Dennis O'Connor. Also in the cast, Jack Nicholson, Wayne Ward, Sean Matheson, Barbara Barnes, and Roy Lewis. The music was composed by John Roby, who also played the banjo. Script editor was Dave Carley, the casting director was Julia Tate, recording engineer was Greg DeClute, sound effects were by Wayne Richards. Associate producers were Michelle Parisi for the CBC and Eugene Murphy for Toronto. Producers were Greg DeClute and Linda Grierson. Executive producer for Canada was Damiano Pietropaolo. Good evening and welcome to Sunday Showcase. I'm Damiano Pietropaolo. Tonight, we conclude our dramatization of Mark Twain's Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Huck and Jim are joined on their raft by two unwanted but colorful con men, the Duke and the King. Willing to do anything for money, the guests make Jim, a runaway slave, very uneasy, and he begins to make plans to escape to the territories. Here now is the third and final episode of Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, starring Martin Roach and Christopher Jacot, with James Key as the Duke and Dennis O'Connor as the King.
Huckleberry Finn, son of the town drunkard, has run away from his persecuting father and from a persecuting good widow who wishes to make a nice, truth-telling, respectable boy of him. Huck and a runaway slave named Jim have found a fragment of a lumber raft and are floating down the Mississippi by night and hiding in the willows by day. Bound for Cairo, whence Jim will seek freedom in the heart of the Free States. But in a fog, They pass Cairo without knowing it and find themselves in slave-owning territory. One morning, Huck rescues 2 men who are being chased out of a village and brings them to safety in a cottonwood grove.
Breakfast will be ready in no time, gentlemen.
Why is that raft of yours all covered up?
We don't want anyone stealing it.
Well, why aren't you on the river?
Oh, you know, we like to kind of rest during the daytime.
Uh-huh. That Jim friend of yours, is he a runaway nigger?
Goodness sakes. Would a runaway nigger run south?
Well, I suppose not.
A slave heading south, that's a good one.
You see, my folks was living in Pike County in Missouri. They all died off but me and Pa and my brother Ike. Pa, he allowed that he'd break up and go down and live with Uncle Ben, who's got a little one-horse place on the river 44 miles below Orleans. Pa had some debts, so when he squared up, there weren't nothing left but $16 and our nigger Jim. Well, Pa had a streak of luck one day. He catched this piece of raft, but a steamboat run over the forward corner of the raft one night, and we all went overboard and dove under the wheel.
You don't say.
I do say. Jim and me come up all right, but Pa was drunk, and Ike was only 4 years old, so they never come up no more. Well, for the next day or two, we had considerable trouble, because people was always coming out in skiffs and trying to take Jim away from me, saying they believed he was a runaway nigger. We don't run daytimes no more now. Nights they don't bother us.
Well, I'm sure I can cipher out a way so as we can run in the daytime. You leave it with me.
Yeah, we don't want to be passing by that town yonder in daylight now, do we? It mightn't be healthy.
During breakfast, we all laid off and talked, and the first thing that came out was that these chaps didn't know each other.
Now, what got you into trouble?
Well, I've been selling an article to take the tartar off the tooth, and it does take it off, too, and generally the enamel along with it. But I stayed about one night longer than I ought to, and was just in the act of sliding out when I ran across you on the trail. That's the whole yarn. What's yourn?
Well, I'd been running a little temperance revival there, and taking as much as $5 or $6 a night. Business is growing all the time, when somehow or another a little report got around that I had a way of putting in my time with a private jug on the sly.
Well, who can blame you? Temperance is thirsty work.
Yeah, and they rousted me out this morning and told me the people was gathering on the quiet with their dogs and horses, and if they got me, they'd tar and feather me and ride me on a rail, sure. I didn't wait for no breakfast. I wasn't hungry.
Oh, man, I reckon we might double team it together. What do you think?
Well, I ain't undisposed. What's your line, mainly?
Oh, journeyman printer by trade, do a little in patent medicines, theater actor, tragedy, you know. Take a turn at mesmerism and phrenology when there's a chance. Sling a lecture sometimes. Oh, I do lots of things. Most anything that comes handy, so it ain't work. What's your life?
Well, I've done considerable in the doctoring way in my time. Laying on of hands is my best specialty. For cancer and paralysis and such things. And I can tell a fortune pretty good when I got somebody along to find out the facts for me. Preaching's my line, too, and working camp meetings and missionarying around.
Oh, alas.
What are you laughing about?
Oh, you would not believe me. The world never believes. Let it pass. 'Tis no matter. The secret of my birth.
The secret of your birth? You mean to say?
Gentlemen, I will reveal it to you, for I feel I may have confidence in you. By rights, I am a duke.
Did he say he was a duke, Huck?
That's what he said, Jim.
No, you can't mean it.
Yes, I am the lineal Duke of Bridgewater. And here am I, utterly forlorn.
Now then, there's no need to be sad about it.
Not whilst the sun is shining.
No, it's no use, gentlemen. I am inconsolable. Mind you, if you could find your way to acknowledging my dukehood, that might do me some good.
Anything to oblige.
How do we do it?
Well, you ought to bow and say, Your Grace, or My Lord, or Your Lordship. And at dinner, one of you should wait on me, and see that my every whim is satisfied.
All through dinner, Jim stood around and waited on him and says, Will your grace have some of this or some of that? And a body could see it was mighty pleasing to him. But the old man didn't look comfortable over all that petting that was going on around that duke.
Look here, Bilgewater. I'm nation sorry for you, but you ain't the only person that's had troubles.
No?
No, you ain't. You ain't the only person that's been snaked down wrongfully out in a high place.
Alas!
Bilgewater, can I trust you?
To the bitter death. The secret of your being. Speak.
Bilgewater, I am the late Dolphin.
Huck, did he just say...
You are what?
Yes, my friend. Your eyes is looking at this very moment on the poor disappeared Dolphin, Louis the 17th, son of Louis the 16th and Marie Antoinette.
You? At your age? No. You mean you're the late Charlemagne. You must be 600 or 700 years old at the least.
Trouble has done it, Bilgewater. Trouble has brung these gray hairs and this premature balditude. Yes, gentlemen, you see before you in blue jeans and misery the wandering, exiled, trampled on and suffering rightful king of France.
Didn't take me long to make up my mind that these liars weren't no kings nor dukes, but just low-down humbugs and frauds. But I never let on. If I never learned nothing else out of Pap, I learned that the best way to get along with his kind of people is to let them have their own way. There was a little one-horse town about 3 miles down the bend. The Duke said what he was after was a printing office. We found it, a dirty, littered-up place over a carpenter's shop. The carpenters and printers had all gone to a camp meeting, and no doors locked. The Duke said he was all right now, so me and the king lit out for the camp meeting.
Hear me, brothers. Hear me, sisters. I am the miserablest sinner that ever sailed the 7 seas. I am a pirate. I've been a pirate these 30 years out in the Indian Ocean. I was robbed last night, robbed and put ashore off a steamboat without a cent. And I am glad of it. It was the blessedest thing that ever happened to me because I am a changed man now. $7.75, plus a 3-gallon jug of whiskey I found in the woods. I tell you, Bilgewater, nothing better than pirates to work a camp meeting with.
Well, I ain't done so badly. Take a look at this poster I printed up special.
Ah. It had a picture of a runaway nigger with a bundle on a stick over his shoulder and $200 reward under it. The reading was all about Jim and just described him to a dog. And whoever would catch him and send him back, he could have the reward and expenses.
Now, after tonight, we can run the raft in the daytime if we want to. Whenever we see anybody coming, we can tie Jim hand and foot with a rope and lay him in the wigwam and show this handbill and say we captured him up the river.
Bilgewater, I congratulate you.
Pretty smart, ain't he, Jim?
Oh, it's smart, all right.
It was after sunup now, but we went right on and didn't tie up. After breakfast, the Duke went down into his carpetbag and fetched up a lot of little printed bills.
The world-renowned Shakespearean tragedian Garrick the Younger of Drury Lane, London.
That's me.
You don't say.
Have you ever trod the boards, Royalty?
No, but I'm in up to the hub for anything that'll pay Bilgewater. But you see, I don't know nothing about play acting. Well, I was too small when Pap used to have 'em at the palace. You reckon you can learn me?
Well, next they got out a couple of long swords that the Duke made out of oak laths and begun to practice the sword fight. The Duke called himself Richard III, and the way he pranced around the raft was grand to see.
A hit! A palpable hit! Tell you what, Royalty, the Richard III is good. Yoke it with Romeo and we'll have a first-class show. But we need a little something to answer the encores with.
What's encores, Bilgewater?
Well, it's when the audience don't let you leave the stage without you give them something else. I'll do the Highland Fling, and you, well, let me see. You can do Hamlet's soliloquy.
Hamlet's which?
Hamlet's soliloquy. Oh, it's sublime. Sublime! Always fetches the house. I reckon I can piece it from memory. To be or not to be, that is the bare bodkin that makes calamity of so long life. For who would fardels bear till Burnham wed do come to Dunsinane, but that the fear of something after death murders the innocent sleep, great nature's second course, and makes us rather sling the arrows of outrageous fortune than to fly to others we know not of. There's the respect must give us pause. Wake, Duncan, with thy knocking! I would thou couldst.
But soft, you, the fair Ophelia, ope not thy ponderous and marble jaws, but get thee to a nunnery. Go!
That night we had our show, but there weren't only about 12 people there, just enough to pay expenses. And they laughed all the time, and everyone left anyway before the show was over, but one boy which was asleep. After we tipped him out, the Duke was blazing mad.
Well, what do you expect? These Arkansas lunkheads can't come up to Shakespeare.
Low comedy, Bilgewater. That's more their style.
Oh, I can size their style all right. Look at this new handbill.
At the courthouse for 3 nights only, David Garrick the Younger and Edmund Kean the Elder in the thrilling tragedy of the Royal Nonsense. Admission 50 cents.
Now, how's that going to bring 'em in? You've doubled the price and we don't even have a show.
We don't need a show. Look at the last line of the bill.
Ladies and children not admitted.
There. If that line don't fetch 'em, then I don't know Arkansas.
The following night, the house was jammed full of men in no time.
Gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present Mr. Edmund Kean, the elder of the London and Continental Theaters, the finest thespian of his age, in the Royal Nonsuch, the finest tragedy that...
Get on with the show!
So, without further ado...
The next minute, the king comes a-prancing out on all fours, naked, and he was painted all over. Rings streaked and striped, all sorts of colors, as splendid as a rainbow. And it was just wild. It was awful funny. And when the king got done capering and capered off, they roared and clapped and stormed till he come back and done it over again.
That's it, gentlemen. Our tragedy will be performed only 2 nights more on account of pressing London engagements.
What are you saying? Is it over? Is that all?
That is all.
Sold! We are sold!
Hold on, gentlemen. We are sold. No doubt of that. But we don't want to be the laughingstock of this whole town. What we want is to go out of here quiet and talk this show up and sell the rest of the town. Then we'll all be in the same boat.
Next day, you couldn't hear nothing around that town but how splendid our show was. House was jammed again that night. Third night, the house was crammed again, but they weren't newcomers this time. They were people that was at the show the other 2 nights. The Duke was at the door taking the money.
Excuse me, Your Grace.
Another full house, eh, my boy?
Look at their pockets, Your Grace, bulging with rotten eggs and cabbages. If I know the signs of a dead cat being around, and I bet I do, there were 64 went in tonight.
I'll meet you back at the raft. Walk fast now and then shin for the river like the Dickens was after you.
What about the king?
Oh, it's every man for himself tonight.
We struck the raft at the same time, and in less than 2 seconds we was gliding down the stream, nobody saying a word. I reckon the poor king was in for a gaudy time of it with the audience. Pretty soon he crawls out from under the wigwam.
Well, how'd the old thing pan out this time, Duke?
Your Highness! Well, now, how long you been in there?
All evening long, Your Grace. Well, I knew they'd lay for us the third night.
Oh, they must be having themselves a picnic over there now. They brought plenty of provisions.
Them rapscallions took in $465 in that 3 nights. By and by, they was in the wigwam asleep and snoring. Jim and me could breathe easy for a few hours.
Don't it surprise you the way them kings carries on, Huck?
No, it don't, Jim. Because it's in the breed. All kings is mostly rapscallions as far as I can make out.
But this one do so smell like the nation, Huck.
Well, they all do, Jim. We can't help the way a king smells. History don't tell no way.
Well, anyways, I don't hanker for no more of 'em, Huck. These is all I can stand.
I went to sleep, and Jim didn't call me when it was my turn. He often done that. When I waked up just at daybreak, he was sitting there with his head between his knees, moaning and mourning to himself. I knowed what it was about. He was thinking about his wife and children away up yonder. I do believe he cared just as much for his people as white folks does for theirin. Don't seem natural, but I reckon it's so.
Poor little Elizabeth. Poor little Johnny. It's mighty hard. I expect I'm never going to see you no more. No more.
Try not to carry on so, Jim. We'll head back north just as soon as we can.
I know that, Huck. A while ago, I was reminded of the time I treated my little Elizabeth so ornery. She wasn't only about 4-year-old, and she took the scarlet fever and had a powerful rough spell. But she got well. One day she was standing around, and I says to her, "Shut the door." She never done it, just stood there, kind of smiling up at me. Makes me mad. Don't you hear me? Shut the door. She just stood the same way, smiling up. And I fetched her a slap the side of the head that sent her a-sprawling. Then I went into the other room. And when I come back, the door was a-standing open yet, and the child is standing most right in it. And the tears running down. Oh, I was mad. I was a-gun for the child, but just then, along came the wind and slammed it to behind the child. Kablam! And my lad, the child never moved. She never budged. Oh, Huck, I bust out a-crying and grabbed her up in my arms. Oh, she was plumb deaf and dumb, Huck. Plumb deaf and dumb. And I'd been treating her so.
Next morning, the Duke, he reckoned he'd lay off and work his brains an hour or 2 in the village over the water. And the king, he allowed he would drop over to t'other village. I went with him in the canoe. We had bought store clothes. The king told me to put on mine. And when he put on his, he looked that grand and good and pious that you'd say he had walked right out of the ark. And maybe was old Leviticus himself.
Seeing how I'm dressed, I reckon we better arrive down from St. Louis or Cincinnati or some other big place. Go for the steamboat, Huckleberry. We'll come down to the village on her.
Pretty soon we come to a nice, innocent-looking young country Jake sitting on a log, swabbing the sweat off his face. He had a couple of big carpet bags with him.
Where are you bound for, young man?
For the steamboat. I'm going to New Orleans. You wouldn't be Mr. Wilkes, would you? If you are, you've come mighty near getting here in time.
No, my name's Blodgett, Alexander Blodgett. Reverend Blodgett, just one of the Lord's poor servants. But still, I'm sorry for Mr. Wilkes for not arriving in time, if he's missed anything by it, which I hope he hasn't.
Well, he won't miss any property by it, because he'll get that all right. But he's missed seeing his brother Peter die.
Oh.
Poor Peter. Never talked about nothing all these 3 weeks. Hadn't seen his brother Harvey since they was boys together. And hadn't ever seen his brother William at all. That's the deaf and dumb one. William ain't more than 35.
Oh, did anybody send him word?
Oh, yes. About a month or two ago. You see, Peter was pretty old, and his nieces from his brother George and his wife both died last year. His nieces was too young to be much company for him, except Mary Jane, the red-headed one. He most desperately wanted to see Harvey. And William, too.
Oh, now, why do you reckon Harvey don't come?
Oh, he lives in England.
Oh.
Sheffield. Preaches there. Hasn't ever been in this country.
You're going to Orleans, you say?
That ain't only a part of it. I'm going in a ship next Wednesday for Rio de Janeiro, where my uncle lives.
Well, that's a pretty long journey, but it'll be lovely. I wished I was a-going. Is Mary Jane the oldest? How old is the other?
Mary Jane's 19, Susan's 15, and Joanna's about 14. That's the one that gives herself to good works and has a hare lip.
Oh, poor things, to be left alone in the cold world so.
Well, they could be worse off. Old Peter had friends. There's Hobson, the Baptist preacher, and Deacon Lot Hovey, and Ben Rucker, and Abner Shackelford, and Levi Bell, the lawyer, and Dr. Robinson, and their wives, and the widow Bartley.
Well, the old man went on asking questions till he just fairly emptied that young fella.
Was Peter Wilkes well off?
Oh, yes, pretty well off. He had houses and land, and it's reckoned he left $3,000 or $4,000 in cash hid up summers.
The king made me paddle the young fellow up to the steamboat landing. The boat was about done loading, and soon she got off with the young informer on her.
Now hustle back right off, Huckleberry. Fetch the Duke up here in the new carpet bags and tell him to get himself up fancy regardless.
I see what he was up to, but I never said nothing, of course. When I got back with the Duke, we hid the canoe, and the king told him everything the young fellow had said.
Bilgewater, how are you on the deaf and dumb?
Oh, leave that to me, Your Highness. I have had occasion to play deaf and dumb on the boards of the Theatre Royal.
About the middle of the afternoon, we managed to hail a steamboat to take us 5 miles down to the village. About 24 men flocked down when they saw us.
Excuse me, my good men. Can any of you tell me where Mr. Peter Wilkes lives?
I'm sorry, sir, but the best we can do is tell you where he did live yesterday evening.
Alas, alas, our poor brother, gone, and we never got to see him. Oh, it's too hard.
Then the king turns around, blubbering and making a lot of idiotic signs to the Duke on his hands, and blamed if the Duke didn't drop his carpet bag and bust out a-crying. Well, the news was all over town in 2 minutes. When we got to the Wilkes house, the 3 nieces was standing in the door. Mary Jane was red-headed. That don't make no difference. She was most awful beautiful, and her face and her eyes was all lit up like glory. She was so glad her uncles was come.
Oh, Uncle Harvey.
You poor lambs. Here are your devoted uncles, alas and alack, come too late.
Then the king looked around and saw the coffin over in the corner on 2 chairs. So then him and the Duke walked slow and solemn over there. They bent over and took one sight, and then they bust out a-crying so you could have heard them to New Orleans most.
Now, I know that my dear nieces, Mary Jane, Susan, Joanna, would be glad if the main principal friends of the family would take supper with us this evening. Now, if my poor brother laying yonder could speak, I know that he would name Reverend Mr. Hobson, Deacon Lot Hovey, Mr. Ben Rucker, Abner Shackelford, Levi Bell, Dr. Robinson, and their wives, and last but never least, the widow Bartley.
Why, that's most kind, sir. I'm Abner Shackelford at your service. Dr. Robinson and Laura Bell are away on business, but all the other friends you mentioned will be pleased to come.
Uncle Harvey, here's the letter that dear Uncle Peter left for you.
Oh, now, let's see. $3,000 gold to the girls. The Tanyard, along with other houses and land, worth about $7,000 to Harvey and William, along with another $3,000 in gold to Harvey and William.
He's drawn a map where he hid the gold under the floorboards in the cellar.
Well, wasn't that characteristically considerate of him? You gals relax yourselves up here. My brother and I, and our devoted valet, Adolphus here, we'll see about that gold.
I was their devoted valet. When they found the bag of gold, they spilt it out on the floor, and it was a lovely sight. All them yaller boys.
Why, Bilgewater, it beats the royal nonsense, don't it?
Indeed it do, Brother Harvey.
Being brothers to a rich dead man is the line for you and me, Bilge.
Oh, say, I got another idea. Let's go upstairs and count this money and then take it and give it all to the girls.
Good land, Duke, that is the most dazzling idea that ever a man struck. Let him be suspicious of us after that. Oh, this'll lay him out.
Here, Mary Jane, Susan, Joanna, take the money, take it all. It's a gift of him that lies yonder, cold but joyful.
You dear good souls.
They was all so busy hugging and kissing each other that they didn't notice an iron-jawed man had come in the door.
There, not another word. Now, tomorrow, William and I invite everyone in town to come to the funeral. Well, Peter respected everybody, so it's fitting that his funeral orgies should be public.
You expect us to believe that, do you?
Why, Robinson, ain't you heard the news? This is Harvey Wilkes, Peter's brother from England.
Ah, my poor brother's dear good friend and physician.
Keep your hands off of me. You, an Englishman? It's the worst imitation I ever heard. You, Peter Wilkes' brother? You're a fraud, that's what you are.
Now, Doctor, he must be Harvey. He knows all about Peter and the girls and all Harvey's friends by name. Why, he even knows the names of our dogs.
Mary Jane, I was your father's friend, and I warn you, as an honest friend, to turn your backs on that scoundrel. He's the thinnest kind of imposter. Turn the rascal out. I beg you to do it.
Well, here is my answer. Take this $6,000, Uncle Harvey. Invest it for me and my sisters any way you want to. And don't give us no receipt for it.
That night they had a big supper, and all the friends of the family was there except old Dr. Robinson. I stood behind the king and the duke's chairs and waited on them as their valet, Adolphus. When it was all done, me and Joanna, the youngest niece, had supper in the kitchen off of the leavings.
Did you ever see the king, Adolphus?
Who? William the Fourth. Well, I bet I have. He goes to our church.
What? A regular?
Yes, regular.
I thought the king lived in London.
Well, he does. Where would he live?
But I thought you lived in Sheffield.
I see I was up a stump. I had to let on to get choked with a chicken bone.
The king goes to our church when he's in Sheffield in the summertime, when he comes there to take his sea baths.
Why, how you talk? Sheffield ain't on the sea.
Oh, well, who said it was?
Why, you did.
I didn't know that.
Honest Injun, now, ain't you been telling me a lot of lies?
Honest Injun?
Lay your hand on this book and say it.
I see it weren't nothing but a dictionary, so I laid my hand on it and swore.
Adolphus, but all the same, I have my suspicions. What? Do you have suspicions of, Joanna? You know, that's always your way, Mary Jane. Always sailing in to help somebody before they're even hurt. Well, Adolphus had told some stretchers, and I said I wouldn't swallow it all. Well, it don't make no difference what he's saying. The thing is for you to treat him kind and not be saying things to make him remember he's a long way from his own country.
Says I to myself, this is the girl that I'm letting that old reptile rob her of her money? That's when my mind was made up. I resolved to rescue that $6,000 for them or bust. It was easy to find. I saw the king and the duke stuffing it into a straw mattress in the duke's room. When everyone went to bed, I slipped down the stairs with the gold. I meant to hide it outside of the house somewheres, but as I was passing by the parlor, I heard somebody on the stairs behind me. I darted into the parlor, and the only place I see to hide the bag was in the coffin. So that's what I done. They had the funeral in the morning, and in the afternoon, the king and the duke had the auction in the public square. They were selling off everything. Furniture, land, slaves, and promising to take the three girls back to England. Well, whilst they was at it, a steamboat landed, and in about 2 minutes, Dr. Robertson come up, and with him, a very nice-looking old gentleman, and a nice-looking younger one with his right arm in a sling.
And here we've got this lot here. This lot. Well, now. Here is another set of heirs to old Peter Wilkes. You pays your money and you takes your choice.
I am Peter Wilkes's brother Harvey, and this is his brother William. We have had misfortunes. My brother has broke his arm, and our baggage got put off at a town above here last night by mistake. In a day or two, when I get the baggage, I can prove it.
Broke his arm? Did he? Very, very convenient. Lost their baggage? That's mighty good under the circumstances.
I think we can settle this without baggage. Is there anybody here who helped to lay out Peter Wilkes for burying?
Well, me and Ab Turner done it.
Then perhaps this gentleman here who claims to be Harvey Wilkes can tell us what was tattooed on Peter's breast.
The king, he whitened a little. He couldn't help it. And it was mighty still, with everybody bending a little forwards and gazing at him.
Yes, sir. I can tell you what's tattooed on his breast. It's just a smooth, thin, blue arrow.
There. You've heard what he said. Was there any such mark on Peter Wilkes's breast?
We didn't see no such mark.
Good. Now, what you did see on his breast was a small dim P and a B, which is an initial which he dropped when he was young, and a W. Come, ain't that what you saw?
No, we didn't. We never seen any marks at all.
Then someone says they should dig up poor old Peter and have a look. They dragged us to the graveyard, the real Wilkes brothers and the real frauds, and me too. And they was threatening to lynch all 5 of us. Dr. Robinson had me by the wrist, and a body might as well try to give Goliath a slip. The whole crowd of them sailed into digging by the flickering of the lightning. At last they got out the coffin and begun to unscrew the lid. All of a sudden the lightning let go a perfect sluice of white glare.
By the living jingo! Here's the bag of gold on the dead man's breast!
Dr. Robinson let out a whoop like everyone else and dropped my wrist to bust his way in and get a look. And the way I lit out and shinned for the road in the dark, there ain't nobody can tell. When I struck the raft at last, I could see Jim by the fire in the wigwam.
Out with you, Jim, and set the raft loose.
Huck? Bless you, Huck, is that you? Where's royalty?
Glory be to goodness, we're shut of them.
Is that so?
Not now. Have it for breakfast, Jim. Cut loose and let her slide.
So in 2 seconds, away we went, a-sliding the river. But a second later, I noticed a sound that I knowed mighty well. Sure enough, here they come. The king and the duke, just laying to their oars and making their skiff hum. It's all I could do to keep from crying. dasn't stop again at any town for days and days. We was down south in the warm weather now, and a mighty long way from home. The king and the duke began to lay their heads together in the wigwam and talk low and confidential. Jim and me didn't like the look of it.
I reckon they started to break into somebody's house or store, Huck.
First chance we get, Jim, you and me are going to clear out and give those two rascals the cold shake.
Early one morning, we hid the raft about 2 miles below a little shabby village named Pikesville.
I'm going into town to smell out if anybody's got wind of the royal nonsuch. You stay here, Bilgewater. If I'm not back by midday, you and the boy can meet me in the village.
The Duke, he fretted and sweated around and was in a mighty sour way. He scolded me and Jim for everything. Something was a-brewing, sure. When midday come and no king, me and the Duke went up to the village and found the king in the back room of a low little doggery. He was so tight he couldn't walk. The Duke, he begun to abuse him for an old fool, and the king sassed him back, and the minute they was fairly at it, I lit out and spun down the river road like a deer, for I see our chance.
Set her loose, Jim. We're all right now.
Jim was gone. I sat down and cried. I couldn't help it. But I couldn't sit still long. Pretty soon I went out on the road and I run across a boy walking.
You seen a strange nigger around here?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Down at Silas Phillips' plantation. He's a runway nigger, and they got him. Was you looking for him?
You bet I ain't. I run across him in the woods about an hour ago, and he said if I hollered, he'd cut my livers out.
Well, you needn't be afeard no more. They got him down at the old Phelps place. There's a $200 reward on him.
Who nailed him?
Was an old fella, a stranger. And he sold out his chances him for $40, 'cause he's got to go upriver and can't wait. You bet I'd wait if it is 7 years.
I went to the raft and sat down in the wigwam to think. After all this long journey, after all we'd done for them scoundrels, they could have the heart to serve Jim such a trick as that and make him a slave again all his life for $40 dirty. I said to myself it would be 1,000 times better for Jim to be a slave at home where his family was, as long as he'd got to be a slave. So I sat down and wrote, Miss Watson, your runaway nigger Jim is down here 2 miles below Pikesville, and Mr. Phelps has got him, and he will give him up for the reward if you send. Huck Finn. I laid the paper down and sat there thinking how good it was all this happened so. And I went on thinking. Over our trip down the river, and I see Jim before me all the time. In the day and in the nighttime, sometimes moonlight, sometimes storms.
Well, you wouldn't have been here if it hadn't have been for Jim. You'd have been down there in the woods without any dinner and getting most drowned too.
Not me, Jim.
That you would, honey. Chickens knows when it's going to rain, and so do the birds, child.
I'd see him standing my watch on top of his so I could go on sleeping, and see how glad he was when I come back out of the fog.
Goodness gracious, is that you, Huck? And you ain't dead? You ain't drowned? You's back again. It's too good for true, honey. It's too good for true.
Then I happened to look around and see that letter. It was a close place. I took it up. I was a-trembling because I got to decide forever betwixt two things, and I knowed it. Then I decided. All right, then. I'll go to hell. And tore it up. I would take up wickedness again, which was in my line, being brung up to it. For a starter, I would go work and steal Jim out of slavery again, because as long as I was in and in for good, I might as well go the whole hog. Phelps's was one of those little one-horse plantations. I weren't fixing up any particular plan, just getting near the house, when one hound, then another got up and went for me. In a quarter of a minute, I was a kind of a hub of a wheel, spokes made out of dogs.
Be gone! You tag! You spot! Be done, sir! It's you, at last, ain't it?
Yes'm.
You don't look as much like your mother as I reckoned you would. But, Lord sakes, I'm so glad to see you. Children, it's your cousin Tom. What's kept you? Boat get aground?
Yes'm,
Don't say yes'm. Say Aunt Sally. Where'd she get aground?
It weren't the grounding. We blowed out a cylinder head.
Good gracious. Anybody hurt?
No, Mum. Killed a nigger.
Well, it's lucky because sometimes people do get hurt. Your uncle's been up to the town every day to fetch you. You must have met him on the road.
No, I didn't see nobody, Aunt Sally.
Here comes your Uncle Silas now. You wait behind that tree. Don't let on you're here. Well, Silas, has he come?
No, and I must say, it makes me dreadful uneasy.
He must have come, and you missed him along the road.
Why, Sally, I couldn't miss him.
Why, Silas, look yonder. Who's that behind the tree?
Why, who is he?
Who do you reckon 'tis?
I ain't no idea.
It's Tom Sawyer.
By jinx, I almost slumped to the ground. I was so glad to find out who I was. Being Tom Sawyer was easy and comfortable, and it stayed easy and comfortable till by and by I hear a steamboat coughing along down the river. Suppose it's Tom on that boat, and suppose he steps in here and sings out my name before I can throw him a wink to keep quiet. So I told the folks I would go uptown and fetch down my baggage. I said I could drive the horse myself. I'd rather they wouldn't take no trouble about it. So I started for town in the wagon, and when I was halfway, I see a wagon coming, and sure enough, it was Tom Sawyer. And I stopped and waited till he come along.
I ain't never done you no harm, Huck Finn. You know that. So what do you want to come back and haunt me for?
I ain't come back, Tom. I ain't been gone.
Looky here. Were you ever murdered at all?
I weren't ever murdered. I played it on them. Come over here and feel of me if you don't believe it.
So he done it, and it satisfied him. He wanted to know all about it because it was a grand adventure and mysterious, so it hit him where he lived. But I said leave it alone till by and by and explained about me being mistook for Tom Sawyer. Well, Tom, he loved that. It was just his kind of thing.
Aunt Sally and Uncle Silas have never seen me, so I'll say I'm Tom's brother Sid. They ain't never seen Sid neither.
They weren't expecting Sid.
No matter. I'll say how restless I was at home after Tom left, so Aunt Polly, she let me take the next boat. We're gonna have fine times, Huck.
There's one more thing, Tom. A thing that nobody don't know but me. There's a nigger here I'm trying to steal out of slavery. His name's Jim. Old Miss Watson's Jim.
What? Why, Jim is...
I know what you'll say. It's a dirty, low-down business, but what if it is? I'm low down, and I'm gonna steal him, and I want you to keep mum and not let on.
I'll help you steal him.
Shucks, Tom, you're joking.
I ain't joking either. You and me will engineer the greatest escape of a runaway slave there ever was.
Tom and me carried it off first rate, pretending to be brothers. We was on the lookout all the afternoon, but nobody happened to say nothing about any runaway slave. We was afraid to try to work up to it. But at supper that night, one of the little boys asked Uncle Silas if we could all go to the Royal Nunsuch show up in town.
No, I reckon there ain't gonna be any. The runaway nigger told Burton and me all about that scandalous show, and Burton said he would tell the authorities. So, I reckon they've drove the audacious loafers out of town by now.
Right after supper, Tom and me clumb out of the window and down the lightning rod and shoved for the town. But we arrived too late to give the king and the duke a hint of what was brewing. Here comes a raging rush of people with torches, and as they went by, I see they had the king and the duke astraddle of a rail. That is, I knowed it was them, though they was all over tar and feathers and didn't look nothing in the world that was human.
There ain't nothing we can do for 'em now, Huck.
They was regular rascals, Tom. Makes me sick to see them treated so.
Me too. Come on. I think I know where we can find Jim.
Well, Huck. And good land. Ain't that Mr. Tom?
Quiet, Jim. Don't ever let on to know us. And if you hear any noises going on nights, it's us, me and Tom. We're going to set you free. I don't like it, Huck. What do you mean, Tom? This window hole's big enough for Jim to get through if we wrench off the board.
Blame it. The whole thing is just as easy as can be.
There ain't no watchman to be drugged. Oh, now, there ought to be watchmen. There ain't any battlements or a moat in front of the cabin, and there's Jim chained by one leg to the leg of his bed. Well, all you gotta do is lift up the bedstead and slip off the chain.
That was Tom Sawyer all over. He was a stickler for style. The next few weeks, me and him wore ourselves out executing the escape according to the best authorities. But we went too far with anonymous warnings.
Don't betray me. There is a desperate gang of cutthroats from over in Injun territory going to steal your runaway nigger tonight. I am one of the gang, but have got religion and wish to lead an honest life. Signed, Unknown Friend.
You sure this is a good idea, Tom? The family's nervous enough with the skull and crossbones you stuck up yesterday.
We have to give them fair warning, Huck. It's the honorable way.
Well, the following night, I opened the door to the sitting room, and there was 15 farmers, and every one of them had a gun. I was upstairs in a second and down the lightning rod in another one.
Tom, we gotta jump for it. The house is full of men yonder with guns.
No. Is that so? Ain't it, Bully?
Hurry. Where's Jim?
I was right behind you, Huck.
We slipped down stealthy toward the fence in Injun file and got to it all right, and me and Jim over it. But Tom's britches catched fast on the splinter on the top rail, and when he pulled loose, he made a noise.
Who's that? Answer, or I'll shoot.
We didn't answer. We just unfurled our heels and shoved.
Here they are! They broke for the river. After 'em, boys!
So here they come, full tilt. But when they let loose the dogs, they was our dogs. And when they see it weren't nobody but us, they just said howdy and tore straight ahead. We struck through the bush to where my canoe was tied and hopped in and pulled for dear life. Then we struck out easy and comfortable for the island where my raft was.
Now, old Jim, here's the raft. You're a free man again. And I bet you won't ever be a slave no more.
And a mighty good job it was, too, Huck.
We was all as glad as could be. But Tom was the gladdest of all because he had a bullet in the calf of his leg. It was hurting him considerable and bleeding.
Don't stop now. And the evasion booming along so handsome. Man the sweeps and set the raft loose.
No, sir. I don't budge a step out of this place without a doctor to see to Tom.
So I set out in the canoe, and Jim was to hide in the woods when he see the doctor coming. Doctor was a nice, kind-looking old man when I got him up. I told him me and my brother was over on Spanish Island hunting, and he must have kicked his gun in his dreams, for it went off and shot him in the leg. He reckoned my canoe was big enough for only one, so he told me to go on home and get them ready for my brother. The next morning, the doctor and some men brought in Tom, who was kind of delirious on a mattress, and Jim with his hands tied behind him. Next morning, I heard Tom was sleeping better, so I slips to the sick room to see if we could put up a yarn for the family that would wash. But Aunt Sally had got there before me. We sat there till Tom opened his eyes very natural.
Hello? Oh, I'm at home. How's that? Where's the raft?
It's all right.
And Jim?
The same.
Oh, good. Splendid. Did you tell Auntie?
About what, Sid?
Why, about the way the whole thing was done.
What whole thing?
How we set the runaway nigger free, me and Tom.
Good land. What is the child talking about? Oh, dear, he's out of his head again.
No, I ain't out of my head. We did set him free, and we done it elegant, too. We had to steal candles and the sheet, and the shirt, and spoons, and tin plates, and flour, and just no end of things. And we got our canoe, and we made for the raft, and all was safe. And Jim was a free man, and we done it all by ourselves.
Mercy sakes. Well, you get all the enjoyment you can out of it now, for if I catch you meddling with him again...
Meddling with who?
Why, the runaway nigger, of course.
Tom, didn't you tell me he was all right? Hasn't he gotten away?
Indeed he hasn't. They've got him back in the cabin, safe and sound on bread and water, and loaded down with chains till he's claimed his soul.
Oh, they ain't no right to shut him up. Turn him loose. What? He ain't no slave. He's just as free as any creature that walked on this earth.
What does the child mean?
I mean every word I say, Aunt Sally. I've known him all my life, and so is Tom there. Old Miss Watson died 2 months ago, and she was ashamed she was ever going to sell Jim down the river, and said so. And she set him free in her will.
Then what on earth did you want to set him free for, seeing as he was already free?
Well, that is a question, I must say, and just like women. why I wanted the adventure of it.
We had Jim out of the chains in no time. And when Aunt Sally and Uncle Silas found out how good he helped the doctor nurse Tom, they made a heap of fuss over him.
There now, Huck. What'd I tell you up there on Jackson Island? I told you I've been rich once, and I was going to be rich again. And it's come true.
Know what we should do? One of these nights we should slide out of here and go for howling adventures amongst the Injuns over in the territory.
Suits me, but I ain't got no money now, Tom. It's likely Pap's got it all away from Judge Thatcher by now and drunk it up.
No, he ain't. It's all there yet, $6,000 and more.
Your pap ain't a-coming back no more, Huck.
What do you mean, Jim?
Remember the house that was floating down the river? And there was a man in there, covered up, and I went in and uncovered him and didn't let you come in? Well, that man was your pap.
Tom's most well now, and got his bullet around his neck on a chain. And so there ain't nothing more to tell. And I'm rotten glad of it. Because if I'd have knowed what a trouble it was to tell a story long as this, I wouldn't have tackled it. But I reckon I got a lot out for the territory ahead of the rest. Because Aunt Sally, she's going to adopt me and civilize me, and I can't stand it. I've been there before.
You've been listening to Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, adapted for radio by Marcy Cann. In the cast, Huckleberry Finn was played by Christopher Jacot, Jim was Martin Roach, the King was played by Dennis O'Connor, and the Duke was James Key. Mark Twain and Harvey Wilkes were played by Mark Cavan. Colonel Sherburne was Michael Copeman, Country Jake and Town Judge were Jim Jones. Abner and Boggs were played by Michael Caruana, Aunt Sally was Elva May Hoover, and Tom Sawyer was Peter Oldring. Also in the cast, Herbie Barnes, Tara Samuel, Pierre Bro, Aniko Bonsawin, Glenn Bang, and Sandy Webster. The music was composed by John Roby, who also played the banjo. The script editor was Dave Carley. The casting director was Julia Tate. Recording engineer was Greg DeClute. Sound effects were by Wayne Richards. Associate producers were Michelle Parise for the CBC and Eugene Murphy. Toronto producers were Greg DeClute and Linda Grierson.